Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hey, how are you guys doing today? Welcome on in. Happy Monday. Hey, this is Khan. You're watching Ninja Pulls. Feeling particularly cheesy today, so I'm going to be doing a little bit of this voice while we start. Moose, Mossberg, Kazi, Raves Lord, Samuel, welcome on in, everybody. Hey. Hey. So, a very boring screen to start with. Maintenance for the week of July 21st. In progress, so obviously mega servers are down. Boo. 8 UTC to 1600 UTC. So, there is a problem with the a potential problem with the stream today. However, if we look on over at the public test server, I don't know what this is for, by the way, just general maintenance, but it is quite a long one. 8 hours. Good morning, Tamriel, exactly. I still never saw that movie. Good morning, Vietnam, right? I love the smell of napalm in the morning, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that happened like 20 minutes ago. Yeah, exactly. So they just went down, but if we look at the public test server, that is up. I'm on the PTS right now. We'll be hopping over there in just a moment. We do have actually some stuff to test there, so that's good. Kazi, good. Yesterday the servers were crapping themselves. Yeah, I wasn't part of that. I wasn't actually in game when that was happening. But you, all of you who suffered through that, you did get an eye roll from me and Maya. We were, well, I was trying to do some work. She was pretending to watch a film, but she was actually on her phone. You know how it is. And she was just like, oh fuck, it's happening again. I will say to those who aren't aware of this, it seems like it is not a ZOS issue. It is their vendor that is experiencing fuckery. But as someone quite rightly pointed out in chat the other day, you know, have a backup. Like, I don't know, that's probably very expensive to do, but it is unacceptable. Got to figure that out. Like, you can't have a live service game that does that. Moose, maybe they're fixing the EU server problems these past 2 weeks. What film was she pretending to watch? It was a horror movie called The Power. It's actually a really intriguing premise. Really cool. I'll explain very quickly. Back in the early 70s, I think it's set in 1974 in London. Obviously, I wasn't aware of this. I wasn't alive at that time. But they had some strikes at the power companies. People going on strike. So they had to ration the power, essentially, in major cities. Maybe countrywide, I don't know. But there was a thing that they would have lights out. They would have to, like, kill the power at nighttime. They would have blackouts. And so it's about a nurse who's just got a new job in this huge hospital in London. And because she pisses off the matron on her first day, she's put on the nasty night shift where, you know, the lights are... And there's a brilliant moment early on in the movie where one of the Irish nurses say, a place where so many people die should never be allowed to get this dark. But she's, you know, she's a real actress, so she says it with much more aplomb than I just delivered. Now, this really cool premise, really fucking creepy. Ugh. But then kind of wasted it. In Maya's opinion, anyway. So there we go, that was the movie. Hope that answers your question, Raves Lord. Worth checking out if you just want a decent horror film to watch, as long as you don't expect it to be amazing. It was called The Power, and it's on Shudder. We've got a free trial of Shudder at the moment, so we're just like binging those horror movies. Anyway, the point of all this is public test server maintenance. 12, it's a midday UTC, so that's 1 o'clock my time. So there is a 4-hour gap between PTS going down and live servers going up. Of course, they may come up early. They may come up very early. It has happened once or twice that they come up super duper early, but yeah, I'm expecting either to end the stream then at 1 o'clock my time, or to put something else on screen, maybe switch games. We'll see what happens. I do have Oblivion Remastered installed, so we could always do a little bit of that. Safety Walks, hello there. I hope we get some more name and race change tokens in ESO. It's been so long since we got some. Ninja needs to pull that off for us all. I will do my very best. However, I think they gave us these when we were getting a lot of changes to the racial passives. They haven't really done that in a long time. But yeah, with subclassing, it does sort of... You could make the argument that A, that is a massive enough change that, yeah, maybe that's justified. And also, all of the huge changes coming to class passives. There have been some, but I bet you there will be more. Anyway, let's flip on over to ESO PTS. Get this party started. Wow, we got a raid! How fantastic! Welcome on in, Weather Dragon Horde. Thank you very much for the raid. Thanks for trusting Ninja Pulls, and specifically me, Khan. I'm streaming solo today. Normally it's Maya and I streaming together. Thank you for trusting me with your community. Thank you so much. How's it going? And welcome on in, everybody. We are on the public test server this morning. Sorry, I'm in the UK, so it's morning for me. If it's not morning for you, please don't let me discombobulate you with my time zone specific nonsense. But yeah, we're on the public test server for the Elder Scrolls Online. What were you playing today, Weather Dragon Horde? We're specifically taking a look at this new event which we've been doing all week. This is coming to the live game in a few months. Raveslaw, there's also a series called The Power. Absolutely. Kazi, you play Guild Wars 2? I was never able to get into Guild Wars 2. I did have a friend who desperately tried to pique my interest. I thought it was a bit too cute. But that's probably a thing I could get over very easily. It does seem like, of all the MMOs out there, it seems like one of the ones I'd be most likely to find enjoyable. Going well, thanks. Weather Dragon Horde. We're doing VRC, ESO, and Overwatch. Nice. Raveslaw just did some Westfield main story quests, and man, I have to say, they would make one of the funky things there an actual scribe skill. Right, so there's like an ability that you get to use. I still haven't done Gold Road, so yeah. No spoilers, please, but yeah, I appreciate you being slightly vague there. And Lena Elvira, hello there. Got tonsillitis? No! Oh, I'm sorry. May you vanquish that shit. Swiftly, smoothly, speedily. Not working, and of course there is maintenance, so I can't go fishing in ESO, which I usually do when I need chill. Oh, well, you know what? I will make it my personal freaking mission right now, Lena Elvira. I'm sure I'll fail, but whatever. I'm used to that. I'll make it my personal mission to try and invoke some of that chill. Why don't we immediately go fishing? Just for Lena's sake. Is it Lena Elvira or Elvira? I recently watched that movie, Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, or whatever it's called, for the first time. I'd never seen it before, and never really paid it much attention, but it was a surprisingly hilarious and forward-thinking movie, I thought. It kind of holds up. Don't bother with the sequels, though. They're bad. This is a lake fishing hole. Let's do some fishing. There we go. Weather Dragon Horde got some things to do, so I'll lurk. Absolutely no worries. And thank you very much for the raid. Really appreciate it. It's very kind of you. I'll have to go fishing in another game. Grand. Love it. Kazi played Guild Wars 2 before ESO. Yeah, this friend of mine was the same. He ditched Guild Wars because he was getting bored of it and went to ESO and was like, oh, this is amazing. But then the time when he left, ESO was going through some regular performance issues with PvE. I almost quit, honestly. It's the closest I've ever come. It was, I think, between Greymore and Markarth. whatever that dungeon... Stonethorn, I guess? It would have been around the Stonethorn days. Yeah, and this is like the guy that we used to do dungeons with really often. I think his build was getting out of date. The game performance was really shoddy. They did fix it. Thank goodness, otherwise I wouldn't be here anymore. But like, it became impossible to prog any new trials because anything really difficult, I mean, like hard modes and stuff, if you hadn't done them before, the things that you were reliant upon, like timing, AoEs appearing where they're supposed to, it was just all over the place. It was a mess. So, yeah, Kazi, I liked Guild Wars 2 very much, but ESO felt like a better version of the combat system of Guild Wars 2, and that made me swap games. That's exactly what my friend Rascal used to say. But he said the mounts are way better in Guild Wars, the combat is better in ESO. Everyone always brings up Elvira, love her too. But is that the... Did I just say Elvira by default? But is it Elvira? Because that's how it's pronounced in that film. Just want to make sure you get it right. As Christopher Lee once said, I think he was talking about names and pronunciation specifically within the Lord of the Rings. You have to get it right. I wholeheartedly agree. I think he was making a point of the fact that Americans always say Gandalf or Gandalf, whereas in fact Christopher Lee is making the argument that the author literally puts in an appendices and a pronunciation guide at the end of the book. If he's taken the trouble to explain to you that it's pronounced Gandalf, you have to fucking get it right, America. But he didn't swear, because he was much too classy for that. What an absolute legend. Did you guys hear the story? I mean, if you saw the special features of The Return of the King, you know, those big old editions with like 6 discs or whatever, you will have seen this already. But when these movies came out, you know, I was obviously into it. Streaming wasn't a thing, so you know, you'd get the DVDs, you get the Blu-ray, and watch the special features if you were a fan like I was. And there's the bit where, well, there's a stabbing, which was actually cut from the theatrical version, but it's put back into the... I'm not going to say who, but it's a scene involving Christopher Lee. And he was talking to Peter Jackson about the noise somebody makes when they get stabbed. The sound. And he was speaking with some authority on this. And, you know, this is a man who served in, or just after World War II, I believe. So Peter Jackson obviously asks him, you know, how do you know this stuff? And he literally said, "That's classified, Peter." Or something like that. Like, if I told you that, I'd have to kill you. Who cares if that's true or not? Like, that's just a great line. I would love to be a fly on the wall for that conversation. You know, absolute legends of old school horror and new school horror, respectively. As a horror nut, I would just have loved that. Anyway, can't fishing. I can't believe my eyes. Erin, this is in honor of Lena specifically, who's got tonsillitis and was going to do some chill ESO fishing, but then can't, because the servers are down. So if you just joined us, welcome on in. We're on PTS because, as I just said, the live servers are down. We've got a bit of a quandary today. PTS is also going down at around 1 o'clock my time, so that's in like 3.5 hours. So you've got plenty of time to squeeze a good, proper stream out of this. But just saying. Let's go and do some Infinite Archive, because that is one of the things I wanted to test today. Other people have already tested it, so it's not like we'll be discovering brand new information, but there's a fairly major and fairly lovely change coming to Infinite Archive, which we discussed yesterday on stream. I love this, by the way, the dude clinging to the wall. If you haven't seen this yet. I'm not actually going to kill him. He's too cute. Let's refresh the food buff real quick. So yeah, yesterday we were talking about Infinite Archive Vision Reroll. So if you get the 3 or 4 vision choices, 4 if you've got all the upgrades, I guess. No, it's 3, isn't it, if you get all the upgrades. 2 by default. Then, if you get absolutely rubbish visions to choose between, you can reroll. For a small archival fortunes fee. One of my favourite things about the archive is you don't need to check whether you're set to normal or veteran before you go in. It's always the same. So it is Vera, not Vira, as I'm Swedish. Oh, the fishing helped. Alright. I'm glad to hear it. I'm going to try to keep it chill in Infinite Archive as well. We're not going to do, like, mad score push up to, like, Arc 10 or whatever. And Lena, I was going to play Skyrim Raislord, but saw the stream was coming on, so I decided it would be nicer to watch the stream. Why not both? Hey, you're finally awake. And Kazi, yeah, the mount system is amazing. In Guild Wars 2 this is. If someone at Zos is watching, what are you waiting for? Pokes Fevs. No, I don't care if you meant devs, Fevs. We're staying with it. You know what, Infinite Archive? Shush, man. That is some oppressive music right there. Sorry if you hear me spluttering and coughing a little bit. Don't know what that's about. I went to bed at a relatively sensible hour yesterday. Got up, did some exercise, took out the recycling, accompanied Maya on her way into work, grabbed a smoothie, had that smoothie, started streaming. So should be, my body should be awake and with it, but apparently not. Moose, I think I could recite all of the Lord of the Rings extras from memory. Wow. Erin says siege mount, high jumping bunny mounts, flying mounts, regular running mounts, hovering mounts. So many great ideas for the taking. Yeah, the idea of flying mounts, I understand that's a problem. Warcraft, World of Warcraft, when they did this, they introduced flying mounts. They had to redo a bunch of things in order to accommodate that. Cataclysm style. So I don't think we'll ever get that. But we could get gliding mounts. You know? And the platforming puzzles. How's Maya doing, by the way? She's doing great, I think. Yeah. She's got a pretty big day tomorrow. She's heading... I'm going to have to drive out with her quite a long way. Well, it's not that long. It's like an hour and a bit in the car. Let's just get going while we talk. Oh, there we go, Daily Endeavor. Shame we're on the PTS.
The Great Eye offers you verses. They're advantages that will last as long as your next fight. Verses will make
Adelina Holy, what the hell was that monster? I've not seen that yet. Yeah, it's a new one for sorry, I'm very, very late with that, reacting to that comment. Yeah, that's on Solstice. If you don't have Seasons of the Worm Cult, don't worry, it'll be coming to ESO Plus. I guess just under a year from now. In the same way that Gold Road and Scribing just went on into the base game. But yeah, it's a completely new asset, but it's a little bit like an Argonian behemoth, but less intelligent. You know, like Zalnor, Oaziltso, and the guy in Maelstrom Arena who doesn't talk. Does he talk? He doesn't, does he? But Zalnor memorably is like, No! You know, sort of dopey caveman lizard. So I think they're a little bit like that.
Have you practiced fighting recently? You're good at this. You're on pace to break archival records.
And Moose is saying, I assume it rerolls all three and not just the one you've highlighted. Well, let's find out. But yeah, it's gotta be. It's gotta be, right?
You did your work.
So the time to use it is when...
Now it's time for mine.
Well, maybe every time you don't have anything that is like, oh, I definitely want that. Anyway, we're about to see our first one. All of those are rubbish, so... Do I have any fortunes to spend? That is key. Yeah, I've got 1 million because it's PTS. Guns and Raiders. Hello.
Calligraphy.
Oh, I don't have,
Recognize it. In this case, that may not.
No,
be
I'll think I'll stick with Boneyard.
Be careful.
Your loot or your life. Second thought, I'll have the bow.
Oh, PTS feeling, like, unusually responsive. I was able to block that quite late. Normally on PTS, it's like, oh, come on. You have to react in advance to everything the game throws at you.
Leas Mora must be impressed.
Okay, so you earn 200 archival fortunes for every boss, I think.
What's this?
And you go visions.
Fragment of a mimic. It couldn't
See, in
drop
this
the whole
case, I'd
thing.
probably be fine with necrotic strikes,
Oh,
because
this
if I'm
calligraphy
beaming.
piece the others might too. Keep going.
So, yeah, re-roll your current vision options. You will not receive any of these visions after re-rolling. I'm guessing none of these three can come up again as well, maybe? Let's click it. Actually got worse luck, but we're just testing around. You know, there's 4K, then 13.5K, so yeah. These numbers have already been... I mean, it's been almost a week. It has literally been a week. So, you know, these numbers are already known. I mean, what the hell? I'll take Scorching Strikes. Yeah, that's essentially all we wanted to test. But I'll keep going. Only visions, not verses. I mean, verses make almost no difference. They are... I think the fun of that is in the randomness, because they only last for one room, and they're generally much more powerful than visions. I miss my rune of displacement, I'll be honest. That thing just hoovering up all the enemies into a beautiful, beautiful, neat stack. Better than the bestest tank could do. Always a lot of fun. Nini, I'm a novice, non-English speaking player. Is there a class you would recommend as a base class right now? Arcanist. I mean, it matters less than ever, and I would always have said at any time in this game's history, pretty much, go for something you enjoy. I did make a video on the class, the sort of the power fantasy, as the devs like to call it. Nothing kinky. It's just the sort of the niche in combat, the sort of psychological fantasy combat that character or class embodies. But these days, honestly, it matters less and less. They all work. But currently, there are some advantages to being an Arcanist, but I think the devs are working on shrinking that down. So... But yeah, I would say Arcanist or Necromancer would be my top recommendations, but honestly, look at what they do. Like, if you like the idea of... in fact, let me just... And Lil Teddy, hello Sir Khan. Hey Ted, how's it going? Let me see if I can grab you a link real quick to this. It's a little bit out of date because, of course, we don't... When we pick a class these days, we are not then bound to it. We can use any skill lines we want. We just have to keep one of our own. But I think it's still potentially somewhat instructive. It's from ages ago, this video. Let me just find it. There we go. So that is a video on picking the right class, and it's nothing to do with their capabilities or damage numbers or anything like that. It's about the user experience, so the sound effects, the animation, the theme. And that is a really underrated component of game enjoyment, like player reward. I completely forgot about that I had that verse. Whoops. And now none of them are going to get it because they're so spread out. Another thing I thought we would do while we're here on PTS, and we'll look again at the Writhing Wall, that's always fun, but Caspian's Cruel Signet, you know, the medium set from Ossian Cage, which currently nobody is bothering to do Ossian Cage for the gear, because it's all fine, but none of it is like, ooh, I really want that. Caspian's got buffed. Along with a few sets this patch. This PTS patch, I should say. And Moose, a class related to being a novice English speaker. What is a class? Ah, cheeky responses here. Aaron, Arcanist is a bad choice for a non-native speaker. Have you seen how complicated the names of skill lines and abilities? And Pathic, thank you very much for the follow. Really appreciate that. Welcome on in. How's it going? But yeah, so Nini, I hope that helps. But I wouldn't worry too much about it. If you like the theme of something,
There's more to the archive.
there we go. Thank you very much for the follow,
You can
Nini.
explore if you want. It won't be fruitless.
But you're very, very welcome to keep coming here, and or to our Discord as well, and asking questions if you're fairly new to the game. Testo uno, eh? We're actually going to talk to her. Just going to pick up the quest and get out of here. Hey, speaking of Argonian behemoths, Zumok. I think he's another one. When he dies, you get a bit of a no kind of. Maya always feels a little bit sad when he dies. Kazi, a novice non-English speaker would be new to not speaking English. And there we go. Thanks, Pathic. That's the Discord, indeed, right there. Pathic pitching hard for the mod access right there. Appreciate it. Kazi, that somehow implies they have not yet forgotten English fully. I don't think we need to nitpick, guys. Let's do this guy in 3, 2, 1, go. Why am I doing a countdown? Let's see if I can get him to say the thing. There it is. No! Poor Zimok.
Another mimic fragment.
Yeah, and then the cost should be the same. Yeah.
Working.
So there we go. Again, I've got quite a decent one.
Learning more about Thoat.
Powerful domain.
One of the books called Thoat, she who became vivified ink. As you continue to fight, I'll try to figure out what that means.
I love it, they're getting worse and worse. Hey, attuned enchantments, I'll take that. So yeah, that is the deal with the reroll. I quite like that. That is very forgiving. So if you get absolute crud, that's the really annoying thing. If you don't get focused efforts, oh, fine. but it gives you twice. Let's say you really want to get focused efforts within the first 2 or 3 arcs. Otherwise, you're going to reset. You're as long as you're willing to spend 500 archival fortunes, potentially, per per roll, then, and what would that be? It does add up pretty quickly. Like it's 2,500 fortunes per arc. But I was going to show you how many I've got, but that's stupid because I'm on PTS. But you're doubling your luck basically, aren't you? Yeah, 1 cheap reroll per boss sounds pretty nice. And again, it's not just about I must get focused efforts or I will re-roll. It's like if there's something there that's good, which there often is, like necrotic strikes, thalmic boom. What are the other good ones for an arcanist? There are plenty. Nice to negate. Too bad I'm a stamina character. It's really slowing me down not having a pull on these guys, isn't it? Guns and Raiders! Everybody, grab yourself a beverage. Whatever beverage is nearest to you. And hydrate. It's not as warm in most parts of the world as it has been, I think. Like the weather is easing off a little bit in some places, but it's still pretty warm. And still very important to stay hydrated, so let's do that. Zephyr Wraith and Bryson Sales, hello. Bryson, how are you playing? Aren't the servers down for maintenance? You're absolutely right. Very well observed. This is the public test server, which is perfect because there were a couple of things currently on PTS that we wanted to check. Wanted to have a look at. They have already been tested and whatnot, namely Caspian's Cruel Signet and the buff it received. That's the set from the new trial. And this Archival Fortunes reroll that you can do on your visions if you don't like the visions that you're getting. These are verses, so don't worry about those. They are staying the same. But every time you do one of the little bosses at the end of each cycle, which I will do right after this room, you can now, well, on PTS currently, but once this goes live,
My organism thing really works. Step carefully. No one wants to fight with damaged shoes.
I want to say it's August 18th, Moose, and then September 3rd is console. But if you go to our YouTube, I've already done a couple of videos on this.
Good. Now I can get that book Malchus needed.
There we go. The most recent couple of videos both deal with PTS, I think. We've got a new guide for, we're refreshing our new player guide as well. That's one of the things I've been working on this week. It's just one of those videos that never creates much of a splash, but they're there helping people in the background for over months and months. And, you know, with subclassing now a thing, scribing is now base game, it feels like we should update that quick start guide. Erin, the one vision that makes enchants powerful, did not sound interesting at first, but I was overlooking how much nutty it gets. Yeah, when my backbar enchant starts increasing my damage. Yeah, exactly. Also, if you use a crusher enchant, you don't need to build any pen, because the crusher enchant just absolutely rinses bosses' resistances. All their armor is just gone. Let me just fix this. For some reason that is set to -60. I prefer that. Guns N' Raiders coffee, Siggy I think. Breakfast of Champions. Coffee and cigarettes. That's a good movie. I remember enjoying that. Wizard of Book. I wish there was a skill like negate that worked on stamina skills rather than magicka. Well, I mean, you've got ways to drain people's stamina, but it wouldn't really make sense. I negate your physical aptitude. I don't know. It makes sense that it's like a magical suppression field. But yeah, it is like a slightly unfair disadvantage to a Magicka Arcanist who's beaming. They're doing exactly the same stuff, but suddenly that negate pops up. Fortunately, there aren't that many of them in PvE. It's just a PvP and an Infinite Archive thing, mostly. PTS doesn't go down? No, the servers are separate. Bryson, so yeah. Can I use my tunes I already have? Depends. Right now, so what PTS does, it is up for, let's just say it's 5 weeks. It's actually not, but whatever. For the first, actually let's say it's 6 weeks. 5 weeks of which experience changes, you know? But after week 5 they don't put any more changes in, they just leave it up for a few more weeks and then it goes live. But let's just say for argument's sake 6 weeks. The first 3, and we're about to enter week 3 now. Later today there should be PTS patch notes. PTS will be going down in a few hours, and it's unrelated to the live servers being down. These are NA characters, so if you're on the NA server, it has to be PC NA, obviously. If you're on console, nope. Those characters are currently on the PTS. A week from today, so next Monday, when the PTS goes down, it will come back up again, and all the NA characters will be gone, and instead it will have cloned, I think it's like Saturday afternoon. So whatever you were doing on the EU server on Saturday afternoon, that is where your character will appear on Monday in PTS. That's the way it always works. But, yeah, you can also... I can't really log out right now because I'm in the middle of archive, but you can also use a template that gives you like a character with maxed out everything, you know. Look how many Telvar and transmutes and everything I've got. Can I have a reroll for visions in real life? I'm gonna disappoint you here, Raiders. We have another week of stupid heat. Oh, really? Is it just as bad there, Moose? Sorry about that. IRL visions are called schizophrenia. Hence the reroll, please. How much? I was gonna say drugs. Any of you guys seen, I know Maya and I talk about this movie a lot, and it's not a genius film or anything. I have a real soft spot for it. It's called Your Highness, and it's a Danny McBride, I think David Gordon Green directed it, but Danny McBride and James Franco play these brother princes in this fantasy world. And it's basically a stoner movie, but set in in sort of a cheesy fantasy setting. Very, very funny. And there's a bit where they have to hit some drugs to have visions to go on their quest. And the successful prince who's really buff and handsome, the James Franco character, he doesn't do drugs. He's too busy saving the kingdom. Whereas his fuck up younger brother, Danny McBride, all he does is get high. So he's really good at this part of the quest. Oh, Thaddeus, I'm seeing these visions. You're making a fool of yourself, Flavius. Handle your shit. Very, very funny. The Minotaur scene. Yeah. You can never sever the horn of a Minotaur. Cut to him with a Minotaur's dick hanging around his neck on a little cord. And for everyone who hasn't seen it, I just spoiled one of the big jokes in the movie. But it's been out for 20 years or something. No, it's not that old. What is it, 10? It's 15 years old now, isn't it? Bizarro 996, perfect time for someone with a name like that to follow. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Let's kill this guy. Who is this even? Kalurian. Get bonked, Kalurian. What gear am I running? I feel very, very rubbish. The damage seems incredibly weak. For Arc 1.
A mountain's peace.
Ansul, not Arc. Yeah, what's up with this?
Boad's written her name in multiple books. I think it's so she can create malligraphies of herself. How delightful. Uncomfortable.
Feels very weak. I'm not sure what's up with that.
Complain about another mimic fragment. We're getting closer to our goal. Keep going.
Masigi somewhat covers that. It is wacky. Nice. Aaron, a new ability that casts a gooey field that slows down people and sucks the stamina out of them rapidly. I mean, Caltrops kind of does that. The anti-cavalry version, sort of. Not a million miles away. And Wizard of Book, I should say good morning, by the way. Morning, morning, morning. Kazi, Gina confirmed the server locations. Don't think it was said openly before, but maybe it was. Yep. Yeah. What do you mean, good morning? Do you wish me a good morning? Do you mean that it is a good morning, whether I want it or not? Or that you feel good this morning? Or that it is a morning to be good on? Is that the line? Something like that, isn't it? And Eno De Rosso, thank you for getting that reference. Not even 11 AM, my apartment is 27 degrees. Reach 29 in a few hours. Yeah, alright. I'm sorry I brought it up, Moose. Probably go for a bike ride later because it'll make me colder. And hey, Mark. Oh, hi, Mark. Speaking of James Franco. And thank you very much for joining and lurking. Enjoy it. Lurk is love. Kazi, just saw a forum post by Gina that talks about DFA and FRA as the data centers and the issue with the connection between those. Yeah, saw this. So that's what I mean, that it's not Zos's fault. Like, it's not their error or mistake that's causing the EU server fuckery. See, Prickly Retort is pretty good, but since, you know, I've got infinite archival fortunes. Again, this one's pretty good. Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna go with that. Fuck it. Gandalf. Yeah. Someone got it. And welcome on in, Moriashka. Apologies for mangling the pronunciation there. Maya would probably be very unimpressed. But she's not here. Oh, we've got Fableds now. Of course we do. These guys just won't stack, will they? No. Never mind. I just realized I literally won't be able to go past like Arc 3 or something because this character is just going to be way too squish. Achievement unlocked. Who needs friends, huh? Not me, it seems. Kazi. Maya would be proud. You did a great job. No way. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Murmiashka. Kazi, I work for an ISP, and once I talked to the guy in Frankfurt, and somehow we're going to talking about games, and I mentioned ESO, and it made some implications that they're hosting the game, but he did not want to say it explicitly, so I may or may not know the exact location. I don't know if I know. So it's an unknown unknown? It's Schrodinger's fact. I can't be bothered with this, who cares? just get me out of here. Well, I'm beginning to feel the PTS lag a little bit, I must say. Oh, hello. It's so cute, just shooting arrows at the eye. does look a little bit strange when the giant centurion goes over to the spider to like interface with it. It looks like they're gonna take a leak on top of the spider a little bit. I don't know. There's something vaguely suggestive about it. Schrodinger's game server, yeah, if you don't log in, it may be working or not. Absolutely. Well, if you just joined us, welcome on in. You're very, very heartily and kindly welcomed. What am I talking about? Welcome. Basically, very glad to have you here. It is Monday morning here for me, about 10 o'clock here in the UK. This is Ninja Pulls. You're listening to Khan. No Maya today. We're not doing a dual stream, but I should mention in just a few days, this Thursday going into Friday, we are going to be doing a 24-hour stream. Now, if you're an absolute legend and you have nothing better to do, you're very welcome to join us for the entire 24-hour stint. However, I would imagine that literally nobody is going to do that. So what I would suggest is that you drop in at some point. Generally Thursday afternoon, evening is going to be the time. That's when it's going to be sort of at its most kicking off, and maybe the wee hours on Friday morning. I think it's going to be 6 a.m. to 6 a.m. It was a stretch goal that we hit during 10 Fest, so it was demanded by you, the viewers. And it will be streamed on Twitch and on YouTube, and Maya will be here for the entire thing. And I'll probably be here for most, if not all of it. So yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be a lot of... It's going to be a real party atmosphere. We're calling it the Summerthon because it's that time of year. And although the weather has been unbearable for a lot of people, it is still nice to get up and see the sun shining and have all that. We'll miss it. We'll miss aspects of it when it's over, right? Anyway, so do swing by for that. Like I said, in 3 days' time.
You have come far, only to die on my sword.
My damage just feel really low. Not sure what's up with that. I'm not missing anything.
None shall be spared.
Like, it's still fine, it's easy, but I'm used to the bosses in Arc 1. They're supposed to be dead in like 8 seconds, not 28.
This is it.
So I'm not sure what is up.
This completes the mimic. All we need now
It's probably
is
my
place the
pen, isn't it?
sonar. Keep Thoat and the Maligraphies busy while I look for the perfect location.
Alright, so. Reroll. Another attuned enchantments. I don't love the emissary. But yeah, a very nice addition. It keeps the RNG feel, but it doesn't. It alleviates some of the frustration of, well, I would like to push to Arc 8, 9, 10, and beyond. If you're with a duo, you could go much higher, but if you're not getting any focused efforts, it can genuinely just kill the run. Because trash pulls will start to take forever. Once you reach Arc, I don't know, 6, 7, they start to get really tanky, and if you're not able to bring them down and use your focused efforts setup, then yeah. Moose, how am I doing over 50% of the damage on world bosses in Solstice? That's crazy. You're obviously playing with a bunch of try-softs. Is that the opposite of try-hard? People who aren't trying. Try-soft. That sounds like an insult I definitely do not want to receive. I didn't even notice that was a Lightbringer. Fuck those guys, I hate them. Solid enemy design. I don't dislike the design at all. They're supposed to be a pain, and they really are. Bias Eagle, question. What would you say, in your opinion, is a healthy DPS difference and or balance between both pure classes and subclasses that would be acceptable to you? Wow. That is a great question. And a really, really brutal one. How can I possibly answer that? Alright, let's stop for a moment and think about this. Guys, I'm gonna read the question again. I would love to hear anyone's opinion on this, actually, because this is kind of unknowable. And if I do ever get the chance to say to the devs, which, to be fair, I probably will be able to, look, here's what the players seem to think. What would you say, in your opinion, would be a healthy DPS difference or balance between pure classes and subclasses that would be acceptable to you? So, in total theory fantasy land, I would say no difference. Right? I think that would be great. Then people, if they want to pure class, there's literally no reason not to. The only reason is the same as whatever, you know, whatever skill lines you have picked. If you happen to choose the three that are Sorcerer or Dragon Knight or what have you, fine. However, that's impossible, so it's kind of a dumb answer for me to give, because currently, what we've got are certain skill lines with more damage-oriented passives. You know, look at Soldier of Apocrypha, for example. You gain 3.3 armor, recovery, minor evasion, and ulti-gen. Yeah, implacable outcome, of course. That's like one of the only. That's the only thing here that increases damage out of these passives. I mean, sustain is obviously nice, armor is nice, but they don't inherently give you more damage. Whereas we look at Gravelord, sustain, the free execute, pen, fantastic, and rapid rot, increase all of our damage with damage over time. Then Herald of the Tome, critical damage and critical heat. That's like one of the strongest passives ever, this thing. Absolutely mental. Harness Quintessence, more weapon and spell damage, status effect chance and damage dealt by status effects. Splintered Secrets is pen as well. So, yeah, it just doesn't even compare. And that's why Herald of the Tome and Assassination plus something like Gravelord or Ardent Flame or Storm Calling or, you know, Adric Spear, Dawn's Wrath. This is why they're so popular. This particular 2 out of 3 combo, Herald of the Tome, Assassination, because they contain so many tools. So unless the devs take advice, which actually I have given them, to be fair, just in the form of an opinion, and say, look, a lot of the problems with subclassing could be solved if you spread these things out a little bit more. So there is more parity in terms of defensive and offensive capability between all of the skill lines. Initially, we all loved the idea of having that skill line is for healing, that one's for tanking, that one's for damage, but that is what leads us into this very, very narrow meta where everyone's running very similar things, and there's much less variety, much less interest, right? It's just not interesting to have everyone running the same shit. Or whenever someone comes to you and says, I'm going to make a healer for the first time, and you can snap your fingers, everyone in the chat knows exactly what 3 skill lines they're going to want to use. And same for damage and for tanking. It's just, yeah. So I think a lot of people have changed their minds on this. I certainly have. And think it would be cooler if all of that stuff was spread out a little bit more. So that Herald of the Tome does have more tanky stuff, healy stuff, or support or whatever, but just that its overall power for damage is capped a little bit. And that all of these have similar ones. That would be one of the many arguments in favor of that, Bias Eagle, is that it would raise pure classes up, relatively speaking. Because a lot of where the power creep comes from is that, well, these skill lines contain a shitload of damage. I'm a damage dealer in a trial. That's what I want. Gimme, gimme, gimme. Done. Whereas before, of course, every class, in order to be successful at every role, has to have a mixture of things. So that's why currently my answer isn't possible. But I would say, I think it's okay for subclassing to be ahead a little bit, but I think I think 10% is already pushing it. In terms of pure damage. It's a really interesting question. I would want to see it minimal, you know, like between 5 and 10%. And like I said, ideally in Fantasyland, no difference at all, really. Or differences which are specific to the setup, not inherent, you know. All right, so now we've got some other responses from Twitch chat. Yeah, Silentium, update 47 patch notes already took my enthusiasm away. I mean, you did, I'm guessing you did see the walk back, right? That they posted last week? Yeah, last week. And on my video on that specifically, that they're changing a lot of the stuff that was bad. But yeah, let's read back some of your opinions on this. And this is the kind of question where genuinely no opinion is wrong, because it's just an opinion. You may have, you know, it may have been arrived at through incomplete or bad info, but whatever. Moose is saying, honestly, I don't care if the difference stays as it is. People who want to optimize can optimize. People who don't can still do everything they could before. Valid. Like I said, personally, I think we should try to shrink the gap. But I agree, it's not a disaster if it stays the way it is. We do have an ad break coming in about 10 seconds. But I guess if you miss what I'm reading, you can still read it in chat. So no one's going to miss anything. Guns and Raiders. Subclassing should be that bit stronger due to the different class abilities, buffs, debuffs. However, pure builds, I feel, do need something to keep them interesting for being a pure build, or have something that will make them nearly just as strong as subclassing. A lot of people have talked about the idea of getting, I don't know, a 2.5% damage buff for every original class ability that you retain, or something. Maybe it's 0 for one, but you get 2.5% for one, you know, to have 2 of your OG class skill lines, and then 5% for keeping all 3. But that's just a straight up buff for nothing. At least the buffs you're getting via subclassing are rewarding you for doing something. I think that's one of the reasons the devs probably reject that idea as a sort of a game design philosophy. We can't just give people more damage for doing nothing. Like that's very strange. Guns N' Roses is my personal opinion, and I will shut my mouth now. Eno De Rosso, you guys choose skills for damage and buffs. I just pick whatever is red. Well, yeah, that's fine as well. Absolutely fine. Loads of people do that. Obviously, I make a lot of DPS videos, and people do not need my help. They do not need a build guide in order to make a themed build. Like, people have even asked me for this. And I just say, no, use your imagination. You got this. You don't need my help. You can absolutely crush it. If you want to know what has been mathematically tested and, you know, what is the most advantageous, you know, both in terms of tested on paper, in a spreadsheet, against the dummy, and in content, I do all of those things. And I'm very happy to provide advice. Very happy. Because it takes a long time. And people don't pick up the game and want to immediately dive into all that complex shit. It's great that it's there, but thank goodness the community talks about it, because none of us would be able to stomach this amount of... We just wouldn't be able to process all this stuff on an individual basis. Crazy. So, yeah. And they're also saying, I just pick whatever is red or can be reskinned into red. Fashion is the true endgame. Subclassing rocks, says a vampire necro with a red-winged twilight. Yeah, see, again, not really answering the question, but I'm glad you mentioned it, because that is a very widespread, I think, and in my opinion, completely valid way of approaching it. Kazi is saying the optimum is no difference, so kind of what I said. But as close as possible would be desirable, and I think something around 10% difference, which would be like 16k, shouldn't hurt the game in PvE. In terms of PvP, a big power difference is only acceptable if the higher power requires more effort, in brackets, harder to pull off. Seems perfectly sensible. Silentium, I just see your comment in both YouTube and Twitch. And, hey, Erajan Schaffer. Welcome on in. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Guns N' Roses, everything is so sanely. How many people are effectively running the same up to 3 trees? Kind of like a 3-pin combination. Only so many tries before everyone has the same stuff. Yeah. I mean, let me very quickly bring up this thing Geldis sent me. I mean, he posted it in a few Discords as well. And I've shown this before. But it's really fucking cool. Geldis, 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 where are you? There they are. So to be fair, this is Geldis and Yokomori. I keep forgetting to give Yokomori credit for this. Let me just flip over to the browser window. So we've looked at this before on this channel. So this is Geldis, absolute legend. He's a real tester. He's actually helped me before in figuring out some misinformation or misunderstandings about synergies and how they work. And I since went away and did a ton of testing based on this. But what you're looking at right here... Sorry, let's go back to the first one. This is Geldis and Yokomori's scraped ESO logs. From they did this a few weeks ago, and it was the entirety of update 46, all the trial logs that they could get. That's why the numbers are so high, and they're looking at the pick rate of particular skill lines. So this is an enormous amount of data, and it is proof that there's a problem, right? If you believe that variety, build diversity, balance are things that a game should aspire to, then, you know, clearly Update 46 is failing miserably. Because everyone has Assassination and Herald of the Tome. There are some weird things in there, like, in my opinion, Stormcalling, it should be quite a lot higher on that list. But let's look at just damage. So this is overall, right? The skill pick rate. If we just look at damage, Stormcalling is still surprisingly low. But it's just everyone is going for 1, 2, plus a Templar. And even in my video, I'm part of this trend, right? In the video that I did when Update 46 went live, I said, look, we don't know how we're going to keep our website and build system up to date, but here's 3 setups to get you started. And it was literally Herald of the Tome, Assassination in all 3. And the only variety was, I said, Adric Spear for simplicity, Dawn's Wrath for single target focus, Gravelord for... yeah, I mean, I'll go into more detail, but basically, depending on what the group needs, Gravelord is actually a very strong option. But it's one of those where, if we're talking trials, probably all the DDs need to run this because of the sheer amount of pen that's involved. But I really like this. Now, I think people are sleeping on it. I think Dawn's Wrath is overrated because for fights where you want/need that execute, obviously it is fantastic. But an Adric Spear is not amazing, but it's very, very simple. You don't have to do anything. The passives are just doing the work for you. Then again, Stormcalling. Ardent Flame, I'm delighted to see that one so popular. But look at these Animal Companions. Dark Magic. Oof. This is Crystal Frags, man. The home of Crystal Frags. Draconic Power, the home of Burning Talons. These are low-key, like, 2 of the coolest... Not even low-key. They're just 2 of the coolest damage abilities in the game. And where are they? Nowhere. Because this shit is just too dominant. So if you hadn't seen that before... A little mental thank you to Geldis and Yokomori. You can thank Geldis. I think, yeah, they're on our Discord, so you can throw in a thank you on there if you want. But that is great work. Because not only is it interesting, but it helps us present something to the developers and say, look, if you haven't done this research, the players have, and it doesn't look good. Anyway, back to ESO. And Dark Lord Venger, I also disagree when you say immediately healers would know which 3 skill lines to equip. There's a lot more variation in healing setups with subclassing compared to DD meta setups. Maybe so, but the idea that everyone immediately has in their mind... And yeah, I thought as I said it really depends. If you are talking trials, well, for a start you've got 2 healers, and it's a completely movable feast. It's to do with which buffs, which debuffs, which utilities are absent from the group, right? Because you don't really want to double anything up. That's a waste. So generally, actually, it does move around quite a bit. But I don't know, in the Leo group, in all of our prog groups, the healers look very, very similar. The actually organized groups. They end up looking very similar. So, yeah, this idea that on paper you think, well, subclassing is going to break us out of every trial group, every optimized trial group has one Warden healer and one Nightblade healer, and then it has a Dragon Knight tank and a Sork tank. You know, these are not every prog group had these, obviously, but let's just say that's a pretty solid middle ground. For a lot of groups did have exactly that, and then a bunch of Arcanist DPS. And yeah, on paper, the idea of subclassing seems like it would break that. Well, you're going to have more variety, because yeah, that might still be a Sork tank, but what have they got under their bonnet? In fact, it's done the opposite. It has, and not just on in theory. It has created a situation where there's even less variety, where, you know, because at least I would get questions before about, oh, can I bring my Dragon Knight healer? I was like, yeah, sure, as long as you can, you know, do your job. I don't care what class it is. This is not a super optimized group, and it would be fine. But you don't get that anymore. People just bring the healer setup, one of 2 healer setups that they have, or whatever. But yeah, it is difficult to generalize. I completely understand that, and I should perhaps be more careful. But otherwise, we'd be here all day. But yeah, Dark Lord Venger, noted. Most agree, shrink the gap. Kind of happened before subclassing as well, though. Some people will always want to optimize to the max. And there's no point in running pure class builds other than roleplay, Erin's saying. Basically, you could substitute other words in for roleplay. But yeah, in terms of overall effectiveness, not gonna lie, a fancy screensaver, so pixely. Thanks. It's just, I made a bunch of background things for 10 Fest, and I thought I should really upgrade, because I was making them for all the streamers to use. And then I thought, why am I not upgrading Ninja Pool's like crappy basic stuff? And I don't want to buy it, because you can get these templates, and some of them are cool, but it's like I could just make my own, and it could be just as cool. So yeah, that's why I did that. Moriashka saying, thanks for the guides. Without you, I would have to give up sleep to find time and figure out the game. And JS, hi there. Where can I find those charts? They are in several Discords. They're in the Ninja Balls Discord for a start. I can repost them in chat if you're in our Discord. I promise I'll do that later today, or we'll take a quick break or something, and I'll get that done. But right now, welcome on in. If you joined us, we are talking. We had a very interesting question from Bias Eagle about, you know, what should the gap be between pure classes and subclasses? Very interesting. Most of us are in the opinion that it should be small or non-existent. I think people should be encouraged to subclass, so that there will always be a gap. Like, that's... I don't think you could eradicate it. But yeah, let's catch up with whatever else people had to say. Guns and Raiders, we say and think this. However, all the content I've achieved was with pure builds. Subclassic not essentially making my play any better other than damage. I think this was pick rate for hard mode trials. There's no point of running Stormcalling in endgame group content. Oh, I thought it was just trials in general. Could be. And yeah, it is stronger solo. I feel subclassing has been for the greater good on healers and tanks. Cooking koalas? Oh, my warden has Gravelord, Dark Magic, Animal Companions. For me, it's like setting off 4 nukes and sending in a tank to finish them off. People are missing out on the Tideborn Unleashed Ritualist combo. I don't think... Well, it depends who you mean. Like, in organized groups, they're definitely not missing out on that. Because they don't want that. They want something better. But, yeah, if you mean, like, as a neat little trick that a lot of players could enjoy, who aren't necessarily optimizing, you just want to laugh. Yeah, exactly. It's really fun. Yeah, I noted the Unleashed Ritualist buff. I made a point of it in the video I made when that was released. I tried to highlight that one, but if it's not talked about everywhere, it's very, very easy to miss this stuff. I agree. Erin added subclass skills on my old tank, and it somehow has 37k resists, 87% block mitigation. Too good. Well, thanks, Guns and Raiders. That is actually an AI picture. I couldn't find anything that was quite so perfect, which is annoying because I hate using AI and stuff. But we are not, at least when I do it, I'm not taking jobs away from anyone. But in almost everything that we do, our thumbnails, everything like that, there's almost zero AI, just for the record. But I won't commit to a no AI ever, because ultimately, a YouTube thumbnail matters an awful lot. And if I cannot find, or if I don't have time to find, the perfect picture which serves the thumbnail and makes it pop, and I know I can get it with a quick use of AI, which I'm paying for, by the way. I have Adobe Creative Cloud, and they've now baked into that a bunch of AI generative credits. So yeah, ugh. Weird. But no, it's not a picture of me, obviously. And I know you don't think that. Avenger, I think one thing people don't talk about much is the stacking damage alliance in subclassing has made DDs somewhat more squishy due to a lot of other passives and mitigations. I think that's correct. The reason, I would guess, people aren't talking about it, is because all the DDs have simultaneously become more tanky due to the necessity to run Pragmatic Fate Carver. Like, plenty of people were running it before, unnecessarily sometimes, very smartly sometimes. I was generally one of those who would try to get away with exhausting Fate Carver, but if I died, like ever, I would switch. I was in a Planesbreaker group, and a few of the DDs were running Pragmatic, but I resisted it, and yeah, I think it was Bloody and I were running the other morph, and doing fine. Doing slightly more damage, and we still weren't dying, but it was a bit more risky. But now no one's doing that because we can't sustain it. So that, yeah, I think you're right, Venger. If a situation arises where we move away from Fate Carver, people will notice that a lot more. Absolutely right. And the loss of Altigen sustain has been a bit more noticeable, but generally, if you're in an organized group, there are things you can do. And Erin, kind as the Giga Chad guy confirmed, is yeah. And Erin said, that's a great point. I've certainly felt it. Healing hard mode trials. Yeah. Wizard of Book. For solo stuff, I like my sort with Daedric, Animal Companions, Dark Magic. Solo stuff, again, very different. You see much more variety there. Because people aren't necessarily all trying to optimize for speed and damage. There's also that level of personal comfort. Where, like I was saying yesterday when I was in Maelstrom Arena, it's like, if you don't want to be that squishy, if you want to be able to make a mistake, and it's not a mistake that kills you, but rather it's a mistake which takes half of your health, completely missed the stupid Fabled, then yeah, don't do what I'm doing, because I was running very squish setup in there yesterday. Perfect example. And if you build for more survivability in solo, that's not wrong. That's exactly what you should do. That's exactly how one should optimize. But when you're in a group where the healers are genuinely doing their thing, and you still insist on bringing a load of armor and self-heals and whatnot, then that's silly. You're invalidating the work that they're doing and making yourself less effective at your job.
Just about to join in.
And in pugs, of course, you often have no idea how good the tanks or healers or rest of the group is going to be. So, a lot of efficiency or efficacy is lost due to that lack of that unpredictability. People don't know what to expect, so they over prepare, I guess. Cooking koalas. Oh dear.
Right. Let's put this Nimic to work.
Time for me to head to work. Have a wonderful day / night, everyone. You too, cooking koalas. Have a great day.
Stand by
Great
when
week,
you
in
want me
fact.
to call on Thor.
See you later. And see you this afternoon on Catatonia. Yeah, look forward to that. This is why I'm enjoying PvP a lot more these days. Build stagnation is a lot less there. Yeah, I had a friend, one of my good buddies, Pure, who sent me a message a couple of weeks into subclassing, like 3 weeks maybe. And said, I'm delighted to say I was dead wrong about everyone running the same shit. I mean, there is a little bit of that, of course. A lot of animal companions, a lot of assassination, but...
You can't hide. I command you. Show
It's a lot more monolithic in PvE, isn't it, at the moment? Thank you, Orb. Took you long enough.
Learn to fear your actions.
I really enjoy... I know there's no point when the last enemy dies. I just really enjoy siphoning.
I was not expecting.
It's a bit like a teabag. A little bit of a fuck you.
I'm going back to the index. No one is going to try to stab me there. There are more to fight. But I'll leave that
Spattering
in your
disjunction boots. How exciting. Storm projection actually pretty good. Yeah, screw it, I'm gonna take it. And Avenger, I realised I forgot to say good morning when I joined stream. How very polite of you. Are you British by any chance? But not to worry, no worries at all. And Wizard of Book, I like running dungeons, vet dungeons solo, so survivability is important. Well, there we go. I should probably get into that, because what I'm doing right now, and what I've been doing most days recently, is streaming a massively multiplayer game by myself. Which is like, if you think about it, that's the dumbest move. I should be playing single player games, and then we could experience the whole thing together. And I could really, like, if I was playing Doom or Cyberpunk or something like that, then, yeah, I could really show the breadth and depth of the game in its entirety. Whereas right now, I'm limited to sort of bimbling around the edges. I just don't get that much out of playing ESO solo. But then subclassing has changed that. It has made it much more interesting. This is a Lightbringer.
Move now!
That was lucky. Stack for me, my minions. That actually worked. I love it when that happens.
Over here, mortal, with the rewards.
Are you up, British?
Hope you'll choose something interesting.
Wizard of Book. I love running dungeons and vets. Oh, right, yeah, I already read that one. And you must love that gated mech coming in the new dungeon and then kills solo play dead. There was so much hate for that on the stream, wasn't there? It did seem a little bit odd to me. Like, why put that in there right at the beginning? But then again, it's an MMO. It's allowed to have group content. For goodness sake. Some of the comments were so out of whack. I find it very difficult sometimes to have what, in my opinion, is like a sensible adult conversation within gaming, because everything is so supercharged. You know? It doesn't help that studios and publishers in particular have started behaving quite badly from time to time, and that's created a culture of us against them attitude in a lot of people. But man, I don't want gaming to be like politics, where it's just like, you know, having a slow, considered, thoughtful conversation is just becoming increasingly difficult and rare. I don't think that's actually going to happen. But sometimes it feels that way, you know? I just realized I've got a Marauder inbound. And I'm definitely going to die, because I've got, like, no survivability.
Make the Maligraphies pay!
Well, if so, it doesn't matter. We weren't here to score push or to demonstrate anything really besides the new change. The reroll. Bonk. Shit, I waited too long. I missed 2 of them. 4 of them!
Not many books misplaced here. Shouldn't be difficult to clean.
Aaron, there are always meta chases in PvP. This season, it's all about small scale groups, stacking crit damage and running acuity. They are tough to deal with, but after enough painful deaths, I've learned to resist the temptation of charging into those keep tower fights and getting wiped. When someone runs into a tower immediately, if they're not, you know, if they run towards you and then go into the tower, I immediately just leave them alone. They are not looking to do anything except waste my time. You know? Why feed them? Whereas if someone is fleeing and they go into a tower, then it's a bit different and you don't necessarily know. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like, you can sort of spot the behavior in context. But I love doing small scale group PvP. It's one of the most fun things in this game.
I think you can handle this.
Oh, I'm gonna get boned, aren't I? Damage is still really low. I'm a little confused as to how this is happening.
There are no books up here. I'm too smart for that. Smart enough to take the fragment to Malkest as well.
Am I missing something? Help me out here. I've got Major Brutality and Sorcery. I've got Savagery and Prophecy. Even if I don't have Siphon running. I know I'm missing the assassination damage, but I feel like even compared to my pure class Arcanist before subclassing, this feels really wet. I'm not missing any passives because it's PTS. Dark Lord Venger. Hey, Zavi, thank you very much for the follow. Welcome on in. Welcome in. You're gonna get boned. Yeah, exactly. I think I chose my words carefully. But Venger's saying, when they lock drops in some of those gated dungeons, though, and you just want to solo it quickly and normal to get the drop without having to go find a group. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, it was a bit mysterious, that move. There must be some thinking behind it. I don't know. Because it's not even a puzzle or anything, it's just right at the beginning. Maybe it's a... this is totally me spitballing here, and I don't mean any disrespect to the devs at all, necessarily, but maybe it's a bit of a clumsy reaction to... people, you know, soloing our group content is becoming increasingly a popular thing to do. How do we stop that? Well, the initial thought by someone like me is to make them much harder. You know? But then, because players like Hyper and Lucht, for example, they're just the most well-known players that do this, I suppose. They're very good at finding ways to eventually outvalue the enemy. Like, they'll figure out ways to do it. Little tricks. And certain interactions that will make this possible. So it's not necessarily about the difficulty. And if you make the dungeons more difficult, even if you just limit it to veteran and hard mode, then you are... I wouldn't complain. I love it when the dungeons are just brutally, brutally hard. I think that's fantastic. That's like my favorite dungeon experience. But it's not for everyone. Not everyone goes into a vet dungeon expecting to be absolutely ground to a pulp. You know, curb stomped by every boss. And they don't want to do normal because that's too easy, but they don't want veteran or vet hard mode to be an absolutely grueling experience. So, yeah, where do you go? What lever can you pull as a developer to discourage that, if that's what they're doing? And again, I'm just making assumptions. By the way, while we're here, does anyone remember what Hermaeus Mora looked like in Oblivion? He was basically a crab with a squid, with a bunch of squid tentacles at the bottom. I'm pretty sure that's what this is a reference to. These, like, plumes of books coming up, and they end in these little spikes. It looks an awful lot like Hermaeus Mora from Oblivion. In fact, let me bring up a picture. Just to prove my point. This is a very random thing to do, but whatever. Lore Hermaeus Mora. It better be here somewhere. It's probably right at the bottom, isn't it? Yep. There. You guys remember this? That's what Hermaeus Mora looked like. Am I crazy, or does that look like a little reference to that depiction? Octocrab. Oh, it looks exactly the same, Abs. Yeah, I like it. It's an interesting one. Anyway, just a random little theory that I had. I think it was when Maya was doing a load of lore stuff for the stream. I was helping her out and looking at the gallery of Hermaeus Mora's depiction in previous games. Let's re-roll this one. This is not particularly good. Probably even worse. I mean, targeted iris is fine. It's just getting worse. Worse and worse. Hey, now we're talking. We did have to spend 13,500 though, so that's when it gets ridiculous. I would say 1 or 2 re-rolls and you're done. And as we keep seeing, there is a chance that you'll end up worse off. I'm saying pen maybe. VSCP first boss was so character building. You mean like trying it as a group for the first time? Well spotted, thank you. Murabashka didn't know that Hermaeus was once a crab. For me, he was always an octopus with a bunch of eyes. Great look for an eye drop advert. Yeah, I mean, they've all gone through various iterations, haven't they, the Daedra? Like, Molag Bal looked quite different in his early... I think the goat look... I think he was more goaty. But you can really see it in... if you've been playing Oblivion Remastered, which we might be forced to play, by the way, in a couple of hours, when PTS goes down and the live servers almost certainly won't be back up yet. I may have to take us for a little walk into Cyrodiil. We'll see. And we could do literally this, I guess. But I'm pretty sure Molag Bal is much more like a werewolf. Almost. Sort of a cross between a goat and a werewolf. Dagon has been pretty consistent, I feel like. But yeah. And I'm saying, yeah, as a pug group, an even organized but blind group in Scale Call of Peak, that dungeon has aged magnificently, has it not? Like so many others that are that old, DLC dungeons, they are now just a walkover. In a way which is, I guess it's fine, but it's a bit of a shame. Like, because the stories are so cool, the atmosphere is so, like, dripping and deep and awesome, and the NPCs are really fun a lot of the time. The DLC dungeons in this game are some of the things Zos should be proudest of, in my opinion. I am biased, obviously. And not all of them are amazing, obviously. But a lot of the ones that are like hated, like Frostvault and Masterlock, a big part of the problem is that they nerfed them to make them quote-unquote easier, but they didn't actually redesign the fights or the mechanics. They just changed the numbers or added in immunity phases to prevent a nuke by a really good group. That's not fun. No, that's bad. That's a genuinely misguided response. Kazi, funny line, my character's in Guild Wars 2. As if I care what you think. Who are you and why are you breathing at me? Oof. I'm going to have to chamber that one. Wizard of Book. When I first started in Blackwood, I was running around the zone and found this neat group dungeon. When I went in, it completely stumped me. I didn't know what Rockgrove was back then. Oh, brilliant. I had exactly the same experience with Halls of Fabrication. I knew that it was a trial, but I thought, hey, I was one of those people that fell victim to I kick ass in Overland content. I was crushing it. I did have a quote-unquote build of sorts. I kind of knew what I was doing. What I had no idea about was the huge gap in difficulty. Overland is so easy, as I now know. It puts very little pressure on you. It makes you feel successful very early. But then you're in for a rude fucking awakening. And I did go into Halls of Fabrication on my own. I think it might have been on Veteran as well. But I was expecting to not get very far, but to be absolutely destroyed in moments by the first trash was a kind of a wake-up call. It really scared me for the idea of going into trials. I was thinking, I'm going to have to be an absolutely endgame perfect player to be able to even attempt this. Play our own way. Yeah, absolutely. Talking about race species in Guild Wars 2. Yeah, make an intermediary difficult stage, maybe. These are things that have been talked about before, absolutely. Looks like the inside of a Dalek. That's actually a good point. I haven't seen that in a while. This emoji is how Mora should look like. Dorothy, hello there. Sadly, I solo queue them as tanks, and a lot of people can't clear. Exactly. And Erin, I used to, Kazi's saying to Erin, used to play Thief, Human before ESO, but when I bought it like a year ago, this is Guild Wars talk. Warrior seems simple, very impactful. The uniqueness of classes, definitely a strong point in Guild Wars 2. I wonder how many people are talking about that. I know a lot of ESO streamers are suddenly doing a lot more Guild Wars 2 these days, in a way that makes me a little bit nervous. I think all of them very compelling to play. Necro Reaper is another one I really liked. Eggbirds, hello, TLDR, race, character, race char, class, I don't know, all cool. Gotcha. Eggbirds, how's it going? Abs, you think it needs to be cheaper? 500 isn't too bad, I think. But yeah, it's the idea that you can keep re-rolling is obviously the problem that they had with it. I don't know, I think when I first heard about that escalating cost, I thought, well, that's fucking ridiculous. But now that I see how it works, that it is just escalating costs if you are trying to spam it. I don't know, I think it might be okay, but I'm sure they'd be open to tweaking it if we can make the case. Like, Infinite Archive demonstrably didn't need the reroll feature, but it's definitely better content for it. So I'm glad that it's being added, and I guess that's as far as I'm getting with it at the moment. Maybe they could start with one more super cheap one, and then 500 is the second. I don't know.
Home shells.
I will fail at this. I suck at doing this solo.
Now you are one. Your turn to hunt the tome shells. I'm on my break.
Oh, and I've got telegraph switched off for some reason.
Thanks for the tome
Oh,
shelves.
what? Okay, I didn't fail because it's
Silly form.
the very easiest setting. Fine. Let me just check that. I definitely do not want those off. Yeah, they need to lower the cost, otherwise it's a shit feature. Yeah. Murmiashka, Daedra in theory look however they want. Maybe the fashion in Cyrodiil changed, and they changed their image. Yeah, well, there we go. Or, you know, mortals' perception of them. It's totally... Yeah, I think it's fine to show that that is changing over the years. Depictions of deities in the real world, that does change somewhat. Maybe they went through a difficult breakup and decided to start life anew, get new hairstyle, new life, a new jacket. Yeah, man. And Abs is saying about Scalecaller Peak, I assume. The damage increase has made it easier, but the fights can still punish if done wrong. That's why it's aged so well. Yeah.
Oh, no, no, this is all wrong. I didn't
Completely
buy
agree,
any of
if that's what you meant, assuming that's what you meant. It is also a thing I've said many times. That that power creep isn't really a problem,
so exciting.
except that there are places that become... They lose all their luster if they become just an absolute walkover. You can just one-button your way through the whole thing.
The way you dispatched the last one was incredible. I saw you on the index. You move quicker than I thought.
It's quite nice doing this without Maya repeating every single line that the file has said. I saw you on the index. I don't know why she does that. But like every single thing they say, she just has to parrot it back. Even healing and tankiness has gone up, but the fact that dead people... Yeah, the fact is, dead people cannot heal or damage. Yeah. And that is a heads up, by the way. I know there are a lot of people who have this sort of view of Dungeons and Trials in ESO that the mechanics are what make it good. The new dungeons, Black Gem Foundry, the last boss in particular. Okay, I've only done it on hard mode, but goodness me, the mechanics in there are ridiculous. I don't feel like the fight puts a lot of pressure on your damage. There's a little bit of healing and a lot of movement, so that could be a little bit stressful. But if you're prepped, if you know what you're doing, I think it should be fine. So it doesn't feel like it puts that much pressure on our stats. Like, it isn't brutal to tank. Your DPS doesn't have to be crazy high. In a way that the newest hard modes often are a little bit like that. Sure, if you bring absolutely crap DPS, your group is not going to have a chance. But I think it's all about coordination and doing the mechanics as a team very fast. It seems to have very little margin for error. And unfortunately, Mo is having some IRL stuff going on that means he can't run dungeons with us on Sundays. Otherwise, we would have done that yesterday. So we might have to figure out another way to get a group together for PTS while that is still up. But we still want to show that one. It was a lot of fun. Abs, yeah, I got it. Glad to hear it. Eggbird's doing pretty good. Awesome, man. Gonna play board games with your mum. That's fun. Which board games in particular, may I ask? Or have you not decided? Erin saying, did not play a lot of Guild Wars 2, but had a blast playing as Reaper. No idea what I was doing. Scythe looked cool. And does good ass damage. Sounds awesome. And hey, Venture, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. Wizard of Book, thinking about everyone using the same skill lines as very Elder Scrolls. Doesn't everyone become a stealth archer in Skyrim? You make a good point. But no one felt like they had to. I suppose as long as the devs can get to that point where we don't feel like it doesn't even matter what's on top. There's always something that's on top, and even if it's only half a percentage point ahead of the nearest contender, you know, like 60-70% of trial players will still gravitate towards it, and that's fine. That is almost an unsolvable problem for live service games. But as long as there are 2, 3, ideally 6, or however many more options that are very close behind. And I think that would be the ideal. And Pluvio, our good friend, wrote this very eloquently when Neil from Bethesda UK said, "Alright guys, give me your thoughts on subclassing so I can relay it back to the devs." This is, and I just want to make the point, that Neil, no one had asked him to do this. This is him trying to do his job as well as possible and thinking, hey, I'm on this Discord with like 2,500 players who do a lot of trials, who are very combat oriented, and who aren't really playing this game just for the story. I'm going to ask them. And he got like dozens of comments back from people, mostly saying similar things. And this is one of the people that Microsoft, in their infinite wisdom, has just decided to let go. All of the knowledge, all of the relationships that man has are going to be lost, or, best case scenario, are going to go to another fucking studio. Because he's going to be hired by someone else and do a kick-ass job. And you can bet a lot of the people who were busy creating content for Doom, Fallout, and Elder Scrolls stuff, they're not going to stop doing that, but they're going to pay attention to wherever Neil and the others, Ophelia, for example, end up. So yeah, just a slight whinge on that front. Every day I get more and more pissed off about this decision by Microsoft, because these guys did so much, and just because some bean counter hadn't, you couldn't like point to a chart and say, hey, here's what they contributed to your bottom line. They don't have the imagination to actually, or just the professionalism to do any fucking due diligence on the people that they're firing. Anyway, let's not rant about that again. I think we're all annoyed about this. I think Microsoft have done an incalculable amount of damage to their image over the long term with this. Plus, they're going to discover, like everyone does, when you let people go from HR or marketing, oh, turns out what they did was actually really important and useful. Shit, we're going to have to hire someone else. And guess what? Recruitment is very expensive and time consuming. And then you have to get someone in to build up all those relationships again and blah, 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 blah. Really dumb. Right, let's... So, again, quite a good... The thing is, I'm getting quite good luck with these visions, so I don't really need to do the reroll each time, but just doing it for fun. Active Conqueror, pretty good. Powerful Domain, also good. For this build, I'm not saying, they're universally good. Although Storm Projection, pretty much. Let's go for this one. Similar to Stone Garden. But yeah, I guess, yeah, Stone Garden had that brutal... I don't know if you've ever tanked that, but tanking that hard mode, even though tanking has become so much easier in the last few years, so much easier, like ridiculously so, it is still quite... What should we say? It's not the most fun. Like, you definitely have to concentrate. No, that's not right. It is fun. But it is a bit nerve-wracking. Because if you are inattentive, or if you move too much and step out of the heels, your health could just disappear. There's so much incoming damage, it's hilarious. Very fun. Eggbirds, that sounds like shit. Why wouldn't they make all the group content soloable? You're not sure yet. Probably the Taverns of Tiefenthal. Deep something? Tiefer is deeper, right? In German. Auf Deutsch? Oh, Erin, you're a wizard through and through in Skyrim. Venger definitely didn't do the stealth archer thing. I mixed it up. I did a bit of the stealth archer thing. But I'm a sucker for a stealth mechanic in any game. Whenever there's a stealth system, I will always try it. Like Deus Ex, anything like that, I'll always give it a whirl. You're a wizard through and through. The things get a lot better for wizard after completing last mission in the Mages Guild. yeah, it ends up being kind of overpowered. And Drago Dracaris, welcome on in. Thank you very much for the follow. Thought the layoffs didn't hit you, so Debs. Is that incorrect? No, so you're right. There were some people who were working... I mean, he said this off the record, so I don't know if I should repeat it, but whatever. Mike Finnegan said... no one... Like, he was unaffected. The people working on ESO solely are unaffected. But, yeah, it was the people working on the new game, which was codenamed Blackbird, I believe. But then Microsoft also fired a bunch of people from Bethesda, community managers in particular. Like, they've all gone. And we made the point that I know that everyone cared about 10 Fest. Not everyone knew 10 Fest was happening. But a lot of us were delighted. Even the devs seemed delighted that it was happening. Right? I'll be honest with you. Between them, I don't think Maya and Gina would have been able to pull it off by themselves. The amount of work that Ophelia at Bethesda UK did to make this happen was enormous. But they just don't get it. They just don't see it. They're not in a position where they are aware of this information. The people making these decisions. And it's not a new problem. It always happens this way. And whenever a business does downsizing or restructuring, which they have to do, I get it, there are inevitably some things... There's overreach and they fire someone or gut a department that they then deeply regret later on. My dad went through this a few years ago. A bunch of his team got fired and he suddenly had to do 3 jobs. And of course, a few years later, he works here in the UK for the government office, a regional government office. And this is when the Conservative administration was just cutting left and right just for the fuck of it. With no idea what the hell they were doing. Absolutely no idea. Because this shit is fiendishly complicated. So you do your due diligence first. But the problem is, that's expensive. But it's not as expensive as firing the wrong people and then having a department which a fundamental function which doesn't work for a while, and then having to pay for the recruitment costs and all that stuff of replacing them. We're getting a marauder, and it's almost certainly going to kill me. Wow, I got away with that. It's only Arc 2, but I was so close to dying to that guy. And it's PTS, so who cares, but my goodness. And he's like one of the easiest ones as well. Imagine if that had been Gothmau. Toast. Absolute toast, mate. Speaking of which, we should really get rid of this.
Excellent.
Or, in fact, hang on, no. I could still run it. But put, Elisas on there. There we go, that should work. LeBro, good morning, morning. The tavern in the old city is okay. And Guns are ready to say, you know what's sad? I'm going to be bored as a motherfucker when you stop today's live stream. Well, I'll just have to keep on going. I think probably 2 PM is like the max I could go for. So maybe 2:30, I don't know. I've got a lot of other stuff to do. I'm supposed to have this video finished. It was supposed to be done by today. Arr. Ah, there is so much for me to do. But yeah, I'm trying to get better as a streamer. And we are putting more and more bells and whistles on these streams as we go. We're experimenting a little bit with the times. These early time slots seem to work for a lot of people, but then a lot of our American audience are like, could you stop doing that, please? No other streamers like yous. I mean, that could be interpreted in all sorts of ways, but because I'm feeling cheerful and optimistic today. I'm going to take that in the best possible way. But ultimately, Guns N' Raiders, correct me if I'm wrong, when Ninja Pulse really kicks ass, it's when we're both here, right? When Maya and I are both here bouncing off each other, talking absolute nonsense, making each other laugh, making Maya giggle is just one of the joys of my existence. And if it's in a like a context where other people can enjoy that as well, what a delight. What a goddamn delight. And like I'll say it again, I need to promote this on Thursday, 24-hour live stream with the both of us. We will be here, we'll be messing around like nobody's business. Maya is prepping. Every time she has 5 minutes at work, she's on her phone, making notes and prepping stuff for that stream. It's going to be really, really fun. So make sure not to miss that one. It's not going to be a particular like squeeze the audience for likes and subs and all that kind of stuff. There'll be a little bit of that, obviously. But that's not like the primary purpose. The primary purpose is to say thank you for 10 Fest, for all the support, and yeah. And it was channel points, wasn't it, that was spent in order to unlock this 24-hour stream. I was pointing me the other day to someone, quite rightly, highlighting to their community, hey, I'm doing a 12-hour stream, it's going to be epic. I don't know what I don't know how I'm going to recover. And she was like, huh, amateurs. But even a 12-hour stream is pretty mental. It's pretty full on. Like trying to be interesting and engaging for 12 hours? Goodness me, I can barely manage 12 minutes.
Make your choice before traveling to the next wing of the archive.
Venture opened a can of worms. Yeah, a little bit. Sorry about that. It is the season of the can of worms, though, isn't it? And I remember when Microsoft shut down, not Absorb, the studio that made Hi-Fi Rush. Yep, it was a massive success. Yeah, it was a hugely profitable game, and they were just like, you know what? The studio got saved by PUBG, publisher Krafton, from getting dissolved. I love having you on while cooking dinner. Ah, fair enough, Moose. True, true. Missing a Helen Mirren voiceover. Helen Mirren? Oh my goodness. Wow, we just got a sub. Dark Lord Venture. Wow, that means a lot. Thank you so much. Means a great deal. Didn't even want to wait for the sumathon on Thursday to say, fuck it. I'll pre-order that shit. Well, enjoy ad-free viewing. I think ads are really buggy at the moment. Often when I'm watching other streamers that I'm not subbed to, it's like a real like roll of the dice whether I get the ads or not. You guys finding that? On the one hand, I'm delighted because it means I can listen to like Rather Dashing. I was hanging out with him yesterday, and the guy's just a delight. After we raided off to him, I had him on while I was working, and it means you don't get to miss what he's saying. But on the other hand, I'm like, hey, I'm a streamer, Twitch. Stop doing this. So, yeah. Interesting. Looking forward to the real-life Soul Gem. Yeah, those should be going up fairly soon. We're still waiting, actually, on Bethesda UK for some of that stuff. Codes and what have you. So if you are among those who won something during 10 Fest, and you're wondering why the delay, it might have something to do with that. Because Maya is not in the mood to chase them down, given the news that they received on the last day of the fest. So, yeah. I mean, she's notified them. You know, we're still waiting, and she will chase it, but she's giving them a little bit of a grace period. I think a couple of them might be using up holiday days, now that they found out what's happening. LeBro, it is a joy to listen to the soothing voice of Khan. Well, working, I struggled to read that with a straight face. Thanks for saying it, though. Missing Maya with the random, oh shit moments. Fuck shit, bitch. That's so true. That's such a Maya move. Oh, fuck shit. See, she's making us laugh. She's not even here. Such a foul-mouthed thing. In a way that British people are foul-mouthed in a different way. There's something about being a foreigner, and I know I'm in some ways I'm a foreigner as well, but I've lived here since I was a kid, so it doesn't really count. But like when my mum came over here as an adult, you know, Danish lady, she swore like an absolute trooper, and her friends had to sort of explained to her, no, you don't go around saying shit and whatnot like that. It's rude. I don't think you realize how rude it is. It's like, it's unacceptable to a lot of people. She was like, oh, whoops. And but the instinct was there. So when my sister and I were little, we would laugh at my mum saying, oh, ships. And she would sort of change the end of the word. Does anyone else know this? The thing where you say, you're about to, like, it's like, shut the front door. It's, And we used to find this hilarious. As I became older, I realized why she did it. But Maya still has this thing. She just swears. It's a total knee-jerk reaction. But I love it. And I think it's become much more acceptable in most social situations to just swear like crazy. Lena Elvira, thank you so much for the follow. For the sub, sorry. And Erin, thank you for gifting it. Look at that. Do folks not run ad blockers? And they shouldn't work with Twitch, surely. Depends on the kind of advertising, right? But yeah, oh, hype train incoming. How exciting. Eggbird saying, probably. All right, no, sorry, I'm scrolling too far back. It is a joy to listen to. We read that one. I remember Tenfest. How I remember you fondly. Yeah. I never see ads. No idea why, whether subbed or not. Oh, what? See, that bothers me to hear that. Hey, uniquely average gaming. Wow, thank you for the bits, man. Came for the teaching, stayed for the giggles. Exactly, Eggbirds. Yeah, see, that bothers me a little bit. Well, Twitch, what are you doing, man? Like, ad revenues are fairly pitiful, but they definitely supplement. I remember Maya talking to some of the other ESO folks, and they were very open about how much they get from ads. And it's like a meaningful amount. You know, if your paycheck was boosted by that at the end of each month, you'd be like, hell yeah. You know, even just a few $100s can make a difference. Even though it's like, you know, a 40-hour work week or whatever. It's not that much when you break it down like that. But at the end of each month, thank you very much. I'll take it. And lots of people have been saying that Twitch is like messed up at the moment, and ad revenues are down enormously. Don't know why that is, but yeah, brace yourselves. We may be begging for subs a little bit more often. Speaking of which, Erin, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your support. Really appreciate it. Oh, they do work with Twitch somewhat. Yeah. And Guns N' Raiders, do folks not need to interact with the ads? I'm not an expert. I'm just not gonna. Yeah, I'm just not gonna go there. I don't know what I'm talking about. Abs showing some support there for Ophelia Bioseagull. If they were to introduce another class in here, so what would you like to see? Oh no, Bioseagull's getting on a power trip with these great questions. Oh wow. Venger, what's going on? Thank you so much. Look at this. Look at this. That is incredible. 10 tier 1 subs to the community. Appreciate you so much. What a great friend we've made in recent days. Zombie Crow, hello there. Well, there we go. That little ninja is going to be traveling all the way to the right of the screen. Knee-jerk ones are hard to break out of. Swore like a sailor too. And Abs saying, appreciate whenever you can stream. Today I'm having a massive headache from hay fever and stress. Oh no. Having an own gamer. Talking helps offset the pains and having a good time. Nerding and talking out here. Yeah, no, I love it. Absolutely. When there's a sense of community popping off. Oh, look at this. Erin gifting another 10. You guys are the best. Oh, you know, that's really moving, because I know what triggered this. It's all the talk about Maya and what we're doing on this Thursday, and that, you know what, when I talk to her on a lunch break, this is going to make her cry. I bet you. I'm willing to bet on it that we would talk about you during the stream. I was bigging up the Thursday and we're talking about the giggles and all of that, and then look what happened. So thank you for giving me this moment that I will make sure I relay to her. Now, shall we make Kjarg the Tusk Scraper cry as well? How about that? I love the way the first few seconds they sort of look at you like, you attacking me? Yeah, you're attacking me. Alright, I'm gonna fight back. That's more like it. Now we're getting over 100k on some of these bosses. Still curious as to why the damage was so low to begin with. But guys, thank you. Like, I have to say something, but I'm genuinely struggling to like find the words for this. I'm still quite new to this, and we just it feels impossible to ever take it for granted. So thought you said you were begging for subs. New 10 subs event. Why is the train not working? Oh, the actual image? That should be there. That may be bugged out. Aww. When is Maya back? I mean, she's on and off. She's streaming as much as she can, but one of the basically she's working more. She runs a cookery school, which has an online component, but she's doing a lot more face-to-face events these days because lockdown ended like a couple of years ago, right? But obviously, lockdown being over didn't mean that everyone suddenly wanted to go to big in-person events. But like last year, I feel like we finally got out of that. The remainder of, you know, people being cautious and wearing face masks, that sort of went away, at least in this country. Vishy gifting 5 subs to the community. Wow! Thank you so much for the thank you for the support, you guys. This is always massively appreciated. You just made my month, basically. And thanks for the cheer. Thanks for the bits, Avenger. It is approaching, seemingly, Raiders. Yeah, exactly. Wow, thank you so much for the support. That has genuinely made my month. Thought nothing could beat 10 Fest. Let's see how long we have to keep rolling to get a focused efforts. Obviously, this would be absolutely ridiculous to do on the live server. Now we're at 250,000 just to reroll. Alright, I'm genuinely gonna... I literally don't have enough anymore. I guess I'll go with that one. It's one of the worst options. And Lena saying that feels like shit with tonsillitis today, but so glad the stream came on. The community and chatter is great. It is! The chatter is really good today. I mean, I think it always is. And we don't even have, like, a huge number of people watching. It's not like we have 300 or 400 or anything. It's really popping off. I'm struggling to keep up, as always. But yeah, let's quickly return to... Yeah, Zombie Crow, this is literally why I'm here. To just demonstrate the rerolls. Vishy, thank you so much. Erin, Avenger, thank you so much. Fantastic. If anyone wants to get on that hype train... If you want to unlock a unique emoji, now's a great time. They've built it up for you. It's a level 6. We've got 3 minutes left. I'm not going to grub too hard. I feel incredibly grateful already. But if anyone else has got a Prime sub or anything else lying around, I'm just inviting you to give it your consideration. In the meantime, let us turn our attention to what Bioseagull posted several minutes ago, in which I did start to read. If they were to introduce another class in ESO, what would you like to see implemented? And what would you like them to hyper-specialize in specifically at first? Tank, damage, healer, etc. I tell you what, I'm going to give a... I don't know if this is my definitive answer to this, but I would love to see them get creative and add a single line, which is a class line. They could always add to it later. But so we get a new class, but it just has one skill line. Or something like that. I don't know if they would consider that. If they would consider breaking the mold. Zombie Crow, thank you so much. Oh, that's an anonymous gift. to Zombie Crow. Well, thank you, Zombie Crow, for being here. Thank you for being the recipient of this anonymous sub gift. Wow, that's amazing. Hey, Maya. Alright, Maya, you can hear me, right? So Maya just tuned in, everyone. She's right here. Let's see if we can make her cry. And you can hear. Alright, so Maya, about 5 minutes ago, we were talking about Tenfest and Ophelia and Neil and the guys at Bethesda UK. And then people were saying, oh, Miss Tenfest, Miss Maya. I was talking about the Thursday stream, the 24-hour stream, bigging it up and saying, you know, we are going to be looking to drum up some support, but most of all, just thank you guys for Tenfest, having a great time. And then we started talking about Miss Maya's giggles and the, oh shit, fuck dich, Bitchstein. And, you know, and the sudden outbursts of swearing. You're getting some sympathy from Abs here on YouTube. Wow, look at the hype, look at the hype. This, I can't even keep up with this, guys. Oh my god, Venger, thank you so much. Fantastic. And then this happened. I was talking about what a delight it is like one of the joys in my existence is to make you giggle with mirth and silliness, and the fact that I get to do it in a forum where other people are there and can enjoy it as well is just what a delight, I think was the phrase I used. And then this began happening. The subs just started pouring in and the community is just being the loveliest. Despite a stream which was inherently problematic today, you know, the live servers are down, PTS servers are going down. We've already covered the vast majority of what's on PTS, so I was expecting a fun little bimble and a hang with chat, but you guys have just turned it into the best day ever. So Maya, are you welling up yet? Erin, gifting 5 more. Zombie Crow in the meantime actually trying to answer the question. Hype Train level 9, if you do want to get in on this one, there's never been a better time. She is crying. I need to work, people, but damn, LeBro, no worries at all. Thank you so much for hanging out. And Zombie's saying, I would love to have an actual subclass, like an extra class line for all classes. Whoa, okay, I'm changing my answer. I'm going to hang out with Zombie Crow on that particular hill. Lava line for DK, Permafrost line for Warden, Undead Summons for Necro, more Shadow Magic for Nightblade. Zos could add a line for all classes, more diversity, I guess. And they wouldn't even have... Ideally, they would do it all at the same time, but the beauty of subclassing is that they wouldn't have to. If it helped them to do a better job, more balanced job, they could do them 3 at a time. Or 1 at a time, for that matter. Abs, I did see your message about Microsoft isolated from reality while sat on their gold toilets. Wow, that's a very Trump image there. Literally the gold toilet. Yeah, no, I think you're hitting the nail on the head. It's very cartoonish level of corporate villainy, isn't it? Just making decisions without bothering to do the due diligence. That's what sort of bothered me about it, because if they looked, I don't think they would have... I don't think they could have reached the same decisions. Sure, they've got themselves in a bit of a bind with Game Pass. I get that. But LeBro gifting 2 subs to the community as well. Thank you so much. And Huoarang? Sorry for the pronunciation. Totally welling up, yeah. Don't cry, Maya. No, we wanted to. It's good. It's good tears. Don't think I've seen past level 6 hype trains. Oh, I'm loving the excitement. Thank you so much. Juicy TV, how can you play? It seems the servers are down. Yeah, we're on PTS, so we can't play either. I don't have special content creator perks, which is a myth that is out there, by the way. Every now and again in the content creator Discord, Olibo, I think most recently sent this, that they are being accused of playing on their own private servers where they get better drops and better ping, and it's like, what are you talking about? No, we are literally in the same boat as you. When the game craps out, it craps out for everyone. So yeah, it's not content creator perks or hacks. Erin gifting again. Oh my goodness. We are now like way past the point where anyone in the channel is getting any of these subs. We've got like random Asmongold viewers are getting Ninja Pulls gaming subs at this point. Oh, thank you so much, guys. This has been amazing. An unexpected shot in the arm for Ninja Pulls gaming, and for me and Maya specifically today. Thank you so much for the show of support. Oh, Maya, that's an awesome emote there. We need more of these. We need to copy Mackie's game. Zabi, thanks for the gift sub, LeBro. Absolutely, thank you so much. And Zombie Crow, yeah, I feel that would be amazing. Everyone gets a new line to play with, while people who dislike subclassing get something new as well. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. What a lovely time to hop in, Maya. I'm so glad you did. Dark Lord Venger gifting again? Goodness me. Like, this is crazy. What the hell, Moose is saying? Erin gifting another one to Dovbass. Welcome on in, Dovbass. Ah, right. I'm not tearing up, but I'm doing something. I'm feeling the feels. And Abs is also agreeing with Zombie's idea. I think we're gonna struggle to top that idea, aren't we? Mad Mopar Nut, thanks to Lord Venger for the gift sub. Dovbass, thanks for the sub. Well, thank you everyone so much. We're about to beat our last record. Okay, if you look at the top, I don't know if you guys see this as well. We're approaching. Lena Elvira just cheered 10 bits, or 1 bit, sorry. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you for the emotes as well, look at that. All-time record shattered. Look at that, we did it. Erin, you got us over the line. Wow. What a day. What a fucking day. Alright, the rest of this month, I am going to absolutely smash it. I'm going to stay up late. I'm going to get up early. I'm going to do all the things for you guys. We are going to do... Erin, we've already got one of these. And I think if you weren't sure you'd earned it last time, I really want you guys to come at me with video requests. And the only thing that will stop me from doing them is, like, not having the time. Or if the request is genuinely silly. But so, yeah, in the works, we've got some themed builds. We've got some update 47 stuff. Obviously, I plan to do a full rework of the website and everything in the run-up to update 47. So stuff like that is already in the pipe. I've got a video on synergies and how they work. But in addition to all of those, I really want you guys to chime in with, especially those of you who've just gifted so generously today, or who've subbed for yourselves. I really want to hear from you guys. I don't even care if the video does well, as long as you get to watch something that you're into. It's a way of giving back, right? And I'm sure if there's you know what people say when they get the person puts up their hand and asks a quote-unquote stupid question. There's never a stupid question because, as the saying goes, there's always going to be someone else who did know the answer. So if you can think of a video that you would like to see, I guarantee you there'll be someone else out there who isn't watching right now but who will come across it on YouTube and be like, hey, this is perfect. Wow.
Your rewards are here.
I can't believe it. Set a brand new record there. Health is wealth, as they say. Easy clap. Do take care of your health, of course. We don't want you to ruin your health. Yeah. And Dark Lord Venger, let's go. Thank you so much for the 1,000 bits. That's incredibly generous. What's that in reference to, Dovbass? They are bad actors, but that's a different story and very easy to see. I don't think I've ever seen a level 10 train. We've definitely had, as Maya said, we got up to 13 once upon a time. Didn't we? Well, apparently not, Maya, because it says it's our new record. Well, to all of those, Lena, Abs, and everyone who was struggling with PTS being down, just on the day where they really could have used it. and who've got tonsillitis or hay fever or a headache or anything else that's just a general pain in the butt, even if it's something less serious and less annoying, any stresses and strains, I really hope the hang today has helped in some way to like distract or soothe or just give you a laugh, because yeah, I love this community so dearly, man. It is, for the longest time I thought the combat system was why I stayed in ESO, but around the time that Maya did the first raid train for Infinite Arc Live as it was called, that's when I realized, no, the community in this game is also something incredibly special. I don't know why it is, whether it's a type of person, whether it's the age, because the fan base for Elder Scrolls Online skews a little bit older than some other live service games. I've no idea what it is. I don't care. It's just the best. And whenever there's a community event, whether it's live, online, like 10fest, or whether it's in person, like the tavern we just had last week, a couple of weeks ago nearly, or Amsterdam last year, people always gush about it, and it's genuine. Dark Lord Venger again, Eggbirds. Wow, Erin. I'm almost tempted to push the stop button, but only tempted. But I really want to see where this goes. So yeah, if anyone hasn't got in on the hype train yet, and you do have a sub lying around, and you just want to support this channel in general, obviously we'd be delighted to have you, but this is already beyond belief. You guys have made my day, my week, my month. Yeah, Maya saying thanks everyone right there. And thanks for tuning in, Maya. That's so awesome that you just had that instinct. How did you know? And like I said, it was genuinely conversation around you that triggered this whole thing, and then your arrival just sent it into overdrive. It's almost like we planned it. New record, level 11. Wow. I feel like I need to do something in-game for this. Like, what can I do? What can I do? Alright, let me start off with this.
You know what you're doing. This place is chaotic enough
This
as
small
it is.
gesture by my slightly ugly little guy that we made together. Schnosmosis, because he's got a bit of a schnoz, and we were talking about osmosis that day. Field of view, let's wind that all the way in. And I'm going to give you guys a little one of these. Thank you so freaking much. In fact, let's not be all American and correct about it. Let's be a little bit more European and saying, thank you so fucking much! I hope that wasn't too loud. Thank you so much for the support, whether it's today, and whether it's, you know, monetary or any support at all. In the last couple of years that Ninja Balls has been streaming here on Twitch. Really honored and humbled by the whole thing. This stream has made my day, Leader Elvira. I'm so glad to see it. I was just on the bike when you entered chat, Egbert saying, "Hey Maya." Maybe I'm imagining things. Nope, you're awake. I can confirm. 3 words, Khan. Tales of Tribute. Yeah, we could do it. Leader of hope. Maya's day also now amazing, even though she's working. I mean, Maya kind of loves her work. It is exhausting, and she doesn't make enough. You know, no one does. I mean, some people are very lucky in that they can say, "Hey, I make enough money for what I do." Most of us are like, "Oh, I kind of like it," or I would like it a little bit more if it were just, you know, a little more rewarding monetarily. But the point is, she's kicking it and absolutely killing it so that I can do this, so that I can be full-time content creator. We're trying to get to the point where we can both do it full-time, and days like today give us so much confidence and fuel to forge ahead and keep doing that. Unbelievable. Dovebas redeemed on-screen celebration. Wow. And Coop, the server is indeed down. But I'm on the PTS right now. It takes a long time to download, but if you want to join me, you're welcome to give it a go. LeBro saying, what a community, found you through YouTube, trying to get good and learn new things, and what an adventure it has been. Yeah, LeBro, you've become a stalwart of the community around here. And there we go, hype train complete, level 11. My goodness. Let's open that up. What do we get? Oh wow, that's very cool.
Delightful.
That is delightful. The 1K bits. Wow, Dovebas, thank you so much. Tales of Tribute. No. Is server down? Yes. Always happy to support wherever I can gel with the vibe. Well, Venjo, I really appreciate that. I was a little bit self-conscious yesterday, I'm not going to lie, because I just randomly went into Maelstrom Arena. I'm not trying to get a flawless or anything. I assumed I would get one, but because that's often what happens with the setup being as straightforward as it is. But I made an absolute tragic mess of Arena 6. Which isn't even difficult. It's like the spider one. No one struggles in there, but for whatever reason. And then it transpired as it was happening. We had like several absolute Maelstrom legends, like score pushers, in the chat watching the stream. It didn't really bother me. I got over that whole thing a long time ago. I know how to play. I will make mistakes. And but yeah, it did make me laugh at myself quite hard on the inside. And outwardly, I guess. I'm saying, yeah, the stream definitely helped. Thanks to you and the community here. Really awesome people. Couldn't agree more. And I'm so glad to be a part of it. Servers are down, but spirits are up. Absolutely. Are you're alone all day? What? Or just for the time being? Maya.
Delightful.
And let's plan another trek, Eggbirds is saying. Yeah, so the service should be 5 p.m. UK time, 6 p.m. European, most of Europe time. So Central European time. Thanks for the bits, Eggbirds. Amazing. Choo-choo indeed. Vibe with my undercarriage. Subtle D, coming on in. Hello there. We were just talking about the upside, yeah. The downside of streaming this early, as we miss out on some of our American buddies. And the ones on the West Coast, well, forget about it. Unless they're staying up super late. You just missed the most incredible moment. Wow. We just broke our hype train record by quite some distance. No patch yet, no. Right, HM. I mean, there may be some notes later, but
Delightful.
there will be a new patch for the PTS. We're going to be entering week 3. So we will be taking a look at that. If there are significant changes, we might even hop on and fire up a quick stream just to go through them and get your guys' thoughts. To keep an eye out for that. But I think we know most of what's coming on PTS now because they already released it last week. I already did a video on it. And we've already had quite a lot of time to process. If anyone wants a reminder of all that, I'm happy to provide it. Bloody Lightbringer.
There's still a lot of work here.
Oh, look at the Daedroth actually lining up. Beautiful.
Parting maligraphies before they harm you is optimal.
Optimal?
I don't appreciate violence as much as Aru, but that was...
Pardon me, boy. Is that the Chattanooga choo-choo? If you know, you know. Hint, British ad. Suddenly I blew my load on the Steam summer sale. You just busted right away. Gabe just like dropped that announcement and suddenly was, oh, not so subtle anymore. What did you get? What were the highlights? There were some really good deals this year. I mean, there always are. Soru, Maya. Same, Dovbass is saying. Soru. Lol. And yes, alone all day. Oh, that sucks. So no lunch break? Oh, fudge. Well, that kind of sucks. Maya, I'm sorry. Too much information, yeah. Yeah, Avenger, right? Dobasim, although this year, not a lot of the really good discounts, though, which is sad. I see. Yeah. The really good games got the discounts. Not so much. And asking my, how's the pain? Is it any better? What's the lunch break, Revy World? I mean, yeah. Much better, yeah, awesome. Although Maya's done that thing where having to adjust, she injured her leg last week, basically, in case anyone's wondering. And she's done that thing where in adjusting her movement, basically limping a little bit. Well, hello. Talk about adjusting movement while I'm near. She sort of shifted weight to different parts of the body, so the other leg, and you know, and now she's got like a pain in that leg and in the ankle, and it's always the way. When you get like a bad back, you then get not referred pain, but sort of inherited pain from elsewhere. Hey, we got a what are they called? A pilferer. He's dead. Where's he gonna go? That was pretty easy. You guys have breaks?
Master Melkus calls these things mimic fragments.
Sounds familiar, Lebro, absolutely. Ouch, hope you're okay, my yeah, she's on the mend. I did a very similar thing last year. Or at the very beginning of this year, maybe, I don't know. But, just when you do one of those sudden movements and your body is like, nope, I wasn't ready for that. It's usually the back. And, very, very sad story, actually. A friend of mine that I used to work with, called Dave, his wife never had any back trouble at all until one day they were getting ready to pack up for a holiday, and she picked up a suitcase and turned and handed it to him, and something just went crack, and she's been struggling for like the rest of her life. Because it was a very nasty sudden injury, and frankly she was quite unlucky with what the doctors tried to do. They made it worse, then they made it worse again, and yeah, very, very sad. But always be careful, always try to warm up, always try to move or lift with your legs, your knees, rather than your back, all of that kind of stuff. Slip disc, yeah, that kind of thing, exactly. Juicy TV, do you have an add-on list? I like the loot window style you have. Yeah, there is a full list on Discord. Currently, this is PTS, so I have very few add-ons active. have a few libs that require them to work. This one is now entirely optional, I would say. GCD bar, most people don't need that. I mostly have it actually for dummy testing, and I turn it off otherwise. Perfect Pixel is the one. That's the one that changes all these windows to be full height. I don't know why the devs don't do this. It's one of the few things they haven't yet changed in their UI update. But check it out. There are a couple of things that are still broken. Golden Pursuits. The list starts way down here. I don't know. They're obviously struggling to fix whatever bit of code wants it to be that far down. And when you go to like the zone guide, the image is squished because it's not supposed to be stretched to the full height. But yeah, that's all. But yeah, it's called Perfect Pixel. I really like it. I agree. It's a really nice visual upgrade to the UI. And not just visual, it makes it easier to use as well. It makes it better. Lunch break just means different kind of work for me. It's not really. It makes a nice change. Yeah, like I said, Maya's using every minute that she can spare to do Ninja Pull stuff, prep for Thursday, which I'll say again, we've got this massive 24-hour stream. Earmark it. But yeah, I think after today, we'll probably go easy on all the drumming up support. But there'll be a little bit of that and lots of fun and forfeits. There are things you'll be able to make me do, like play a particular game. You'll be able to force me to do certain levels of Doom on Nightmare and stuff like that. Yeah, Maya's working out a whole bunch of those delightful things. Delightful! That I will be able to do on stream. And question by Dovbass. For current meta, do you recommend switching main stat for base arcs to mag, or is standstill better? There's almost no difference now. It's a very good question. Being Magicka can help a little bit in some situations, but it really depends which is your third skill line that you're using. So for example, this makes Magicka sustain a little tougher, because I've got to recast this every 10 seconds. Whereas Ciphering is completely free. Whereas if you're running like Dawn's Wrath, for example, and you want that Templar execute, I would actually say Mag is probably better. Because you're going to... If it's tricky. Because if it's a long execute, you're much more likely to be able to sustain Radiant Oppression. Whereas a Stam, you can't even... If it's more than a couple of casts, forget about it. You'll need to use the other option, which is fine, but it's slightly weaker. And I'm forgetting the name of the second morph. That's bad. I'm gonna look it up. Radiant Glory. Thank you, Dortbass. See, I don't need to look it up. My friends are smart. Yeah, thank you, Juicy TV. No worries at all. And, yeah, it does look a bit funny. Yeah, you're gonna be mean to Khan, Race City forfeits? Alright, thank you, Maya. It'll be funny. As long as it's funny, I'll do it. If it's amusing people, if it's increasing our, the sense of value that people get out of what we're doing here, and say, oh, these guys made me laugh, that's a good thing. Then I'm down with it, I'll do it. Performance is starting to ebb somewhat, so I might switch out and do something else soon. At least I got the Marauder out of the way, and I got quite lucky. It wasn't too difficult, was it? That one, I could have got... There are at least two that would have been much worse. I think the Werewolf and Gothmau can be a real pain if you're not... If you've got a very squishy glass cannon type setup.
That's good then.
Gotta go, Khan, Eggbirds, but thanks for the stream. No worries, Eggbirds. Have a lovely, lovely week. Hopefully see you tomorrow. Subtlety. New 2 terabyte SSD. Claire Obscure Expedition 33, God of War Ragnarok Monument 1 and 2, Alan Wake 1, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Never played that one. Not even aware of a game. Is that quite new? Tell us more. Crash Bandicoot, Guardians of the Galaxy, Outlast 2, Unrailed. Outlast is pretty fun. And Outlast 2 is supposed to be really good. I don't think it's sold anywhere near as well as the first one. But from what I hear, it's, if anything, it was an improvement. Say assassination. Yeah, after drinks.
I must perceive the forthcoming for the accounts.
Dobba saying, hey, you cannot pass on anything non-arc or Pla, so you got this. Good look at work, Maya. Yeah, and Erin said, by the way, it's my birthday today. And I got Claire Obscure as a gift. Hey, Erin. Happy freaking birthday. Thanks for sharing that with us. And thank you for giving so many gifts on your own birthday. What's up with that? Are you a hobbit? That's the thing that hobbits do, right? They give away presents on their own birthdays. Thank you for gifting so much to the community today. That's incredible. A happy birthday, gamer. May you find happiness and joy and success in all your endeavors in life. Thank you for being here. You are wanted and welcome. Dovbass. High fucking five. What a lovely, lovely message. Thank you so much. Fantastic. Fishy, juicy, absolutely. Is it right to say juicy, or should it be more like juicy? I just don't want to make it sound like something else. You know what I'm saying? LeBro, happy birthday, Erin. For the win / what the fuck. Am I one of the few streamers that is comfortable saying WTF? Like, not as individual. You know, I don't say the acronym, I actually say what it stands for. I notice a lot of American, Canadian streamers shy away from that. Am I wrong? To be so foul-mouthed? I can blame the fact that I'm caught between two cultures, man. I can use that as an excuse, can't I? Hey, weekly endeavor completed.
Excellent.
Dogbass, all good. High five back to you. Thanks. First one, so it is just juicy. Erin, that emote is so cool. I don't think I've ever seen it blown up like that. But so often when I was using it during Pain in the Axe, when he did that amazing rave during 10fest, man, that was sick. That was so good. I really wished I had, like, I don't know, a bottle of whiskey on my elbow. It was such a fun hang. Everyone was there. Skinny Cheeks was in the middle of his subathon. He legit just stopped everything that he was doing and just watched Pain's stream on his he just put that on screen and just let that be his stream for like an hour. Absolutely brilliant. And I kept putting this in chat because, you know, people using all the emotes that are like dancing or rhythmic. And almost every time I did it, like 5 people would go, oh, that emote's so cool, where can I get that? Cha-ching, Ninja Pulls, baby. Subtly, Scott Pilgrim is a side-scrolling 4-player co-op beat-em-up. Like TMNT. Wow, it's been around for like 15 hours. I thought I'd seen something about it. Yeah. Probably the best beat-em-up ever made. Alright, I'll have to check it out. I love this kind of thing. My fave rave emote, yeah. I have a massive weakness for those videos of birds. There's one of like just a budgie hopping along a table, but they've added little arms that are doing kind of like that, but instead of horns, they're doing like jumping jack style, yay! You know, arms going up in the air to celebrate, and then back down again like a cheerleader, and it's just the cutest, funniest, dumbest thing. It just makes me laugh every time. Yeah, thanks Subtlety for the info drop. Check it out. Oh, years, not hours. I could have sworn I'd come across something about it recently. So that is... It must be that it was in the sale. Everyone says what they want. Don't worry about it. I'm not going to worry. Alright, let's see what we can do. We did pick up a focused efforts now, didn't we?
Your name and bind it here.
Obzex, it's PTS. We're on the PTS server right now.
Are you trying to silence me?
I just needed to go into bubble mode.
This is not how the archive is supposed to behave.
Couldn't beat you before. Whatever will I do?
Here we go.
All those books and you're still a fool.
I thought I had a bit more power than that. I've tried casting Boneyard like 4 times now. I give up. It just doesn't go off. I know it's only one focused effort, but I was expecting to have a little more offensive power than this. That took quite a long time, like a minute, to kill both of them. Anyway, whatever. Still pretty easy.
Is it over? Are we sure?
But yeah, you're absolutely right, Obsec. Servers are down. They're down for another few hours. They might come up early, but we really don't know. It's going to be about 5 more hours or so, I expect.
If I leave them
Maximum.
alone too long, they
This is the
start
PTS,
fighting
and that
my
is also going down in about 1 hour. So my clock is ticking.
I made a
But there
portal
was some
for you.
talk of potentially going and doing some Oblivion Remastered. I'm not sure what we'll do. I do also have plenty of other stuff to get on with, so we could just kill the stream when the servers go down. Let's grab Scorching Support, that's a good one. But yeah, one of the things we were here to... The only reason we're in here, really, was to check out the reroll function on archival the visions. Using archival fortunes to reroll. The escalating cost is completely whack, so you probably can't afford to do more than a couple. So my advice would be, if there's a good one, if there's a genuinely good vision, just take it. It's when you've got nothing that you want, definitely use a reroll or 2. Just beware that you may come up with even worse visions than you had before. But so far, I like the way it works. There's some talk of maybe making it a little bit cheaper. I'm sure people will form their opinions on that when it goes live, and maybe next patch we can trouble the devs with this. If there's an overwhelming consensus that no, this needs to be cheaper or escalate a little slower. PTSD servers, yeah, exactly. Natchpotes, are they up? We're getting patch notes? Moose? Pain in the Axe is young and having fun mixing music. Also, an ex-military guy, I'm pretty sure, Subtle D. So yeah, you guys should hang out sometime. I don't know. Fairly superficial things to have in common, but you never know. That could be... Sometimes that's perfect. I wish I still had the drive to do it. Skills are kept, but the willingness and care to play mix left me. Old and jaded now. Oof. Trying to speak them into existence, Moose. I get it. Obzex, do we know when the servers are back up? Yes, so the PTS, I'm not sure. That'll be sometime... Probably sometime in the evening. So, just for context, it is midday, just after midday for me. I'm in the UK. So, just after 1 o'clock on the mainland Europe. And, yeah, I would expect PTS to be up 7 to 8 o'clock my time. 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock EU time. I mean, I really don't know. Could be a little bit earlier than that. But since they're going down a little bit later, that's what happened last week. They went down later, they came up a little bit later as well. The live server should be up at around 5 PM for me. At the latest. 6 PM for Europeans. Again, at the latest, it might be an hour early, 2 hours early, or it might be a little bit late. Who knows? And Moose 500 for the first reroll seems fine. I think it seems about right. Yeah, It's not meant to be free or close to free for people who constantly use it. And Deathmond. You need to save progress in IA. Never can spend more than 2 to 3 hours in game. I know what you mean, yeah. That is a legitimate thing that several people have pointed to. Personally, it doesn't bother me that much. But yeah, if you do really want to push... I mean, in 2 to 3 hours, you can get most of the way to Arc 10. If you get lucky. That's the thing. So maybe you'll be able to progress a lot further using the reroll function. But if you're farming for gear, and you don't really care about how high the arc goes, I guess you could just farm the first 3-4 arcs over and over again. And as soon as it begins to slow down, as soon as you're feeling like, this ad pull is taking a little bit longer, just get out and reset it and go again. Only problem with that is that Arc 1 is a bit of a slog. It's a little bit uninteresting for players who've learned to do the archive. Every time I start beaming, there's some a-hole getting ready to heavy attack. To be fair, this proves a point that I've made previously, that one of the best ways to approach Infinite Archive, if you're new to it, is probably just go for full damage. Because look, there's almost no survivability on here. I've no self-heal, except for Flail, which barely counts. And I've got no Ring of the Pale Order or anything like that. It's very similar to the setup I've been using in Maelstrom Arena on the live server. All I have is Reaving Blows to heal me. And it works. Like, so far, absolutely fine. If I get a tough Marauder, then yeah, I'm absolutely screwed. Suddenly, Scott Pilgrim currently on sale for $5 till the 27th. Good to know. Back in the day of noobs progging DLC trials with 20k DPS, we just left someone in the trial still grouped up overnight. Yeah, that's the thing that you can do. You can just do that. You can just auto walk into a wall. And I think that should leave the game running indefinitely. You can go and grab sleep. So if you've got a really, really killer run, that's how the score pushers do it. The ones who get really, really high. Looked and Hyper, for example, when they were doing it on the raid train. They were just I think they did it over 3 days, so they had to have 2 downtimes where they went to sleep, and one of them would just be left in the instance doing this. I get it, it's a waste of power, but yeah, given that that's an option, I guess the devs feel like they don't need to add a progress saver. But I know what you mean. Erin's gonna try it out. First 2 arcs very boring, yeah, especially the first. I feel like I've only just got into Arc 3, but we've been stopping and chatting. But if you're with a duo, it's even less interesting, I've got to say. So you really want to get past Arc 2 as quick as you can. I'm just going to demonstrate the power of Tempest. There's nothing happening right now. That was just Tempest and Blockade and Boneyard. That was it.
Your gifts from Hermaeus Mora are ready for you here.
Isn't that insane? Erin's saying, Scott Pilgrim looks good. Gives me slight Double Dragon vibes. Looks like it'll be a lot of fun to play. Don't you need to be actually moving? Don't think into a wall is enough. Also heavy attacking with the nice stuff. ESO Tempest? ESO Tempest. Nice one, Aaron. I approve. I approve of this. Alright, well, I think we're pretty much done here in Infinite Archive. Why don't we go and check out the changes they made to Caspian's Cruel Signet? Hey, Maya. I think that would be a fun thing to do as well. Again, it's already been done, but I haven't actually seen anyone do it live. Which house do I have? I got the new house. So check it out. I did some minimal decorating in here, but this house you're about to see is something we are all going to get for free via event tickets. And it's particularly touching. This year, all of the stuff is all Julianos themed. And Julianos, the god, the Aedra, in ESO lore, is named after Julian LeFay, who it was just announced that he has got days left to live, apparently. And he's had to step away from development on the game that he's currently working on, I think with Ted Peterson. This is like the father of the Elder Scrolls. And he is... yeah, he's bidding us farewell, apparently, sometime in the near future. If you go to uesp.net, there's a whole thing about it. There's a YouTube video from one of his colleagues explaining the situation, and in the description underneath, a statement from Ted Peterson and details on what you can do as Elder Scrolls fans to that basically that his family are inviting messages of thanks and support for his contribution to all of our lives by bringing into being this incredible franchise. And although he hasn't worked on any of the games since Morrowind, I don't think, still a game dev, absolute legend. And yeah, Julianos named after him. So getting this Chapel of Julianos in what looks to be his last year on this earth. I mean, I'm just going off, he's still with us, but I'm just going off the statements that they've put out there. That is sort of unexpectedly touching, isn't it? And I'm definitely going to think of the guy when I use this house. Thought PTS was going down 10 minutes ago. It's in an hour, yeah. It's going down midday UTC. And because we're on summertime, midday UTC is still an hour away. Anyway, so yeah, new house. Look at that. For those who haven't seen it before. Super cool, right? But yeah, so what I'm going to do here is make sure we have a set of Caspian's Cruel Signet. And get another couple of dummies and just test out the damage from that set. Armor, jewelry, weapons. Trial sets I've already taken out, obviously. Medium trial sets. Perfected Caspian, there we go. And what should we run it with? Let's ditch the Ansul and run Caspian on the body. And I won't change anything else about the setup for now. So jack, guards, braces, boots, belt. So we should have 5 pieces Null Arca, 5 pieces Caspian. It's already Sam enchanted. A reminder as to what it does. Daylight saving time is so confusing for an outsider. Erin, do you still have that thing in India where there are time zones that don't move up by an hour incrementally? Because the way that this worked, and I think this is around the world, there were time zones, but from one town to the next, it would be like standardized sunrise and sunset. You have one and it never changes. Alright, well I remember reading that India was one of the places that got rid of this later. No, I mean it was as you move across the country. Are there no discrepancies between, like, in one city it is this o'clock, whereas in another city it is that time? You don't have that? Because it used to be that you would drive like an hour down the road and then you'd have to move your watch ahead 15 minutes or whatever. And I remember, I don't know this to be completely sure, but I think India was one of the last places to get rid of that. Alright, let's grab a couple of dummies. Easiest way to do it is this way. Purchase. Let's just get 2 of them. And we'll just put them in front of this guy. So, just a reminder as to what the set does. There's the East line, which runs through the middle, and that is the time zone throughout the country. Gotcha. Gotcha. Alright. So, Caspian's Cruel Signet, weapon and spell damage, minus Slayer, a line of pen, which is always an interesting one, weapon and spell damage, and then the 5-piece. On dealing, and then this has changed a little bit from the very first time it appeared. On dealing area direct damage, place a sword above an enemy up to once every 1 second. You cannot place a sword on an enemy who already has one from you. After 6 seconds, the sword falls, dealing X amount of physical damage. The damage scales of the higher of your weapon and spell damage, and applying a sword increases your damage done by 2% for 6 seconds, stacking up to 6 times. So up to 12% damage done. However, in order to get that 12% damage done, you'd have to be in combat for 12 seconds. So, for 6 seconds, sorry. So it is doable, but for a lot of trash pulls... let's just run with what I've got here. We're not doing a proper test. I'm not seeing the swords. I'm hearing them. I guess the model is just a bit too big. And Boneyard not going off, great. Okay, that's enough. Let's make this a little bit bigger so you guys can actually see. Like it's at last looking respectable. And remember, that's just part of its contribution. Where's the buff? There we go. So it didn't take long at all for Caspians to build up all the way to 6. A 12% damage increase. Obviously I would need to test it side by side with trash, with multi-target boss, and that kind of stuff, to be able to get a concrete assessment here. And we haven't really got time for that today. But yeah. Since backstab is not needed, we should start humping the dummy from the face side. It is exactly what Venger's saying. It's just a hard habit to break. It feels wrong. Also, in content, you almost always stand behind the target, or you always flank, to a degree. It's actually pretty rare that an enemy will be turned straight into the group, for obvious reasons. So, I wanna go back to Bias Eagle's question. I'm not sure if Bias Eagle is still with us. We're just coming to the end of the ad break. Welcome back if you were just in ads. We're going to go back for that question that Bias Eagle asked, and which we sort of covered in the middle of that amazing show of support from you guys on the hype train. So what they asked was, if Zos were to introduce another class in ESO, what would you like to see implemented, and what would you like them to hyper specialize in specifically? At least at first, you know, tank, damage, healer. I'm guessing most of us would like them to be able to do everything. But the leading response we had that pretty much everyone just started agreeing with was Zombie Crow, I think, who said, I would love to see a new skill line in each of the classes. That could be, it would add depth, it would add fun, it would add thematic variety, and they wouldn't necessarily, the pressure to be super competitive wouldn't necessarily be there, and they could be almost used as a balancing tool, right? Like the sets from Infinite Archive. I thought they would be, but which they haven't been used that way at all. I really, really thought the devs would use the Infinite Archive class-specific sets to do that, and I really hope they revisit that idea. That'd be really interesting. Druid, where you can transform into different kinds of animals. This is PTS, Juicy, but yeah, I actually on live, I also have, I think, a Living Death is in progress, and Siphoning isn't complete, because my main is a Nightblade, so I've been leveling them all on the Nightblade, and when she's completely finished, and I've got every morph of every skill rank 4 all the way, with a couple of exceptions. But yeah, it doesn't take that long to do, but I have a lot of characters. So I try to do my writs often, and therefore I get a lot of surveys to do, and a lot of master writs. And master writs are like the easiest way to level something like this. Just fantastic. Yeah, on PTS, if you make a template character, you just get everything. Like, look at my CP, 3600, and you just get infinite amounts of everything. Let's tweak this. What have I actually been using on live? I've been using this little guy. Where is the... where's my respec? There it is. I think I'm just going to go with Adric's Spear, just for simplicity. Or, nah, fuck it. Let's not mess around too much. Let's just keep it with Assassination. But I'm obviously not going to bother with Relentless Focus. Just making some tweaks here. And I'll skip the banner as well for the time being. Trying to think of what you would run in a multi-target situation. You'd probably go with Ulfsilds. Maybe you'd go with the Rune. Yeah, but I think a lot of players would end up with something a little bit like this, right? And it goes a little something like this. But yeah, Juicy, I like that idea. The Druids. Anyone else got anything? No more skill slots. That's why I love this game. Not so many buttons to press. Oh, no. It wouldn't be more things for us to press, but more like another skill line for each class. That was Zombie Crow's suggestion, which immediately just shut the entire conversation down. Because everyone was like, alright, that's an amazing idea. I don't want to see anything but that now. So we're talking a multi-target fight here. I'm gonna miss that banner. Yeah, bar swaps are very clunky, so don't pay much attention to the rotation. I keep trying to cast Siphon as well, and I can't. Because it's just to my left. So we're just trying to see what Caspian is realistically going to be doing. Obviously the damage numbers are inflated because you triple target dummies. But I just want to give you guys a sense of, is this going to be worth farming? I mean, look, it's not that far behind Sliver Assault, which is a really strong, single targety with a bit of cleave proc set. Now, Signet is catching up, and if the fight is long enough, like more than 15 seconds, you're going to have a reasonable amount of uptime on max stacks. Oh, there it says only 47%. Why is that, I wonder? Huh. Maybe that's because I wasn't putting it on every target? Interesting. So you've got to make sure you're hitting all your targets. A 6th slot. Yeah, I don't know if that would be popular, Erin. If they implement a 3rd more for a few abilities and expand from there, yeah. I think so too. That could be really cool. Deathmond, at least one new skill in every skill line. Rethink all class mastery scripts and class sets. I'm so with you. Like the top one new skill in every skill line, that would be nice, but the rethink all class mastery and class sets, I would be so there for that. I mean, actually, you know what? I think the Arcanist one can go back to what it was. Maybe extend the timer. The cooldown could be 10 seconds rather than 5. I still think it would be more valuable than what we are currently looking at. And then if they just upgrade the other class mastery to give some sort of unique effect, like when you do this and that, or a timed event which just doesn't line up with your rotation, so it requires a little bit of dynamism from players who want it, but players who don't want to complicate their rotation and just want to keep it very simple, they can just enjoy slightly more power and a stronger class theme. Now, these are win-wins across the board. So yeah, I love that suggestion. Class sets as well. Huge thing. It could be huge. It's difficult to balance, but they can do it, you know? They've shown they can do this stuff if they give themselves enough time. Also, some humanoid Daedric race to play with. Yeah, that'd be fun. I mean, race, I always think that's kind of set in stone by these single-player games. Are we really likely to get anything else? But I would love it. I mean, on the deep wish list, Alfiq, because that would just be fantastic. But well, we'd never get that. More realistic Malma or some, yeah, like some sort of conjured Daedra. Infinite, except you actually ran low on archival fortunes with the reroll. Yeah, but I can just somewhere in here, somewhere there is a pouch of infinite. Or there should be. There's that infinite archival fortunes somewhere. I just don't know where that is. But yeah, you can just refill the currency, obviously. Erin saying, they could make a 6th slot, pay to unlock on each toon, so people who don't want to use it can do so. Ugh. My favourite build / class? I mean, Nightblade is where my heart is, but I can't really say that anymore after subclassing. But of the pure classes, that was always the coolest for me. The theme, the sound design, the look, that deep, crimson of the abilities. If you watch my video that I made on the user experience for each class, I think I make a very strong case for all of them. But Mag Sork and Nightblade, and I think they come out of it looking pretty good. Arcanist and Dragon Knight as well. But they're all really excellent. And the devs are very smart with their user experience design, the UX. They tend to make something, with the exception of Arcanist, they tend to choose what's going to be kind of obnoxiously attention-grabbing, the sound or the visuals. Like, DK has very subtle sound design, but the visuals are like, pyro fucking technic. It's really cool to look at. And the lava bubbling from the ground from eruption. Talons, a very obvious effect coming out of the ground. The whip, noxious breath, engulfing flames. The standard, the visuals are very arresting and fun. Same with Templar. It's a bit more subtle on the sound design side, but it looks freaking glorious. Whereas Nightblade is more subtle on the looks, but has really fancy sound design. Very aggressive. You literally are hearing injuries being done with some of this. When it hits an enemy, the sound of like something getting crunched. And yeah, I really love that. And it feels so sharp and immediate. Warden and Necro are kind of on their own. They're a little bit different. Very visually beautiful, like stunning. But more low-key in other areas. The Arcanist is the only one which bucks the trend, which is like visually insane, and also in terms of the audio, completely batshit crazy. But I love it. It works. And it's such a bizarre class in terms of every aspect of it, that it gets away with it. But yeah, I loved the Nightblade rotation, the look, everything for a long time. Yeah, it's a max of 1 sword per target. It's only 12% damage if you hit 6 targets. At a time, though. Because as you can see, I'm getting 6 stacks. I am reaching 6 stacks. And keeping it. So it is going to be worth looking at least. We'll have to wait and see when people actually test it in content. And then they'll know, well, it's still not like tippity top tier. But if it competes with something like Whirl of the Deaths, which in the right situation is really fucking good, but which a lot of players don't consider because it's not one of the top ones that we talk about. But especially with Coral Riptide being, well, the payoff is less, then it's easier to use, but it's not going to be as strong. Frankly, I think they nerfed it by too much. So I'm hoping we'll see an adjustment, maybe in the patch notes later today, who knows, but yeah. With that one going out of the picture to some degree, potentially, I don't know. There might be room for Caspians in the mix. We shall see. I'm not going to make any predictions on that, but I think a lot more people are going to want to farm it. That's for sure. People who weren't necessarily bothered, because so far the only people who've got their sticker book full in Ossian Cage are people who are doing the hard modes in there, who
wouldn't want such a cozy
and who didn't get the
home?
trifecta on day 1, as a couple of groups did, right? But if you're doing the hard modes in there, it's double drops every time, and you're going to fill up the sticker book quite a lot quicker. Or people like me, who are doing a lot of teaching runs in there. More of those coming up next week, by the way. And Sanity's Edge, I think, as well. So yeah, we have a lot of reason to go there repeatedly. By the way, guys, what else do you want to see? I'm on PCS. I can't go back to the live server. I'm going to go to the Writhing Wall event by default, which again, hopefully we'll see an update for later. And Arpames, I was going to ask you about this. What did you mean by Hurricane Yar bound armor change? Question mark. So those changes that they announced, that they were putting Major Resolve back on Hurricane, that's not on PTS yet. So bizarrely, we know it's coming, but the public test server doesn't have it yet. Because they just wanted to alleviate concerns, right? How are they holding a look at the moment? Well, yeah, I guess I'm answering that question. They're looking shit because they changed them. You know, they put minor force on Hurricane, as you know, I guess, and they took Major Resolve off it and moved it elsewhere. But they've reversed all of that, if I remember correctly. I made a video about all this, but it's not actually made it to PTS yet. It might make it onto PTS today, but for me, that's just excellent news. I really like Storm Calling. It has a nice niche in the current meta, and it is more suited for solo play. But yeah, I've been using it a lot, and it's really good, and you feel the difference when suddenly you're getting Major Resolve from somewhere else. You don't have those storm calling passives anymore. It's like, ugh, that sucks. So I'm glad they've reversed on that. I hate the Max Stam leaving bound armament. I don't love it, but I'll tell you why I am potentially optimistic about that. It's because of a change I've talked about before, where I think they should spread out more of the power. I think Skinny Cheeks is in agreement with me on this, for what it's worth. We talked about it quite a bit, and we both reached the same conclusion towards the end of Update 46 PTS. Because initially, we were all saying, oh, we want more of these skill lines that are like Assassination and Herald of the Tome and Gravelord, which are packed with tools for damage, or for tanking, or for healing. You know, make the rest like that. Like Sorcerer is all a bit spread out. So maybe make Dark Magic, Daedric Summoning, Storm Calling, pick a lane, and make one for healing, one for tanking, one for DPS. But sometime in week 2 or 3 of PTS, we started to change our minds and think, actually, that's not the solution, that's what's causing the problem of imbalance and a lack of variety and all the rest of it. And it's also what's making pure classes so much weaker, is that they have no way of doing that. They're stuck with 2 skill lines that aren't as useful to them. Whereas if we spread things out, and Dark Magic, Daedric Summoning, Storm Calling all have something useful, some compelling reason for a tank, a healer, or a DPS to basically support and damage, I suppose. I should probably split it up that way. If all of the skill lines have something to recommend them, then we're in a much better shape. And I think maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, maybe it's wishful thinking, but the idea of moving that Max Stam off the bound armaments from Daedric Summoning and moving it into Dark Magic is exactly an example of that. Trying to spread out the power so pure class sorcerers aren't losing anything. In fact, they're gaining a little bit, because as far as we know, haven't seen the tooltip yet, you won't need to cast anything in order to get those max stats. They'll just be there. As long as you have the Dark Magic skill line, you'll have that extra stamina. Which would be pretty cool. So yeah, while I agree with you in like my initial reaction to it, I'm hoping it might mean this. Does that make sense? Erin, oh, I see you're answering the favorite build class thing. You never played it, but you like how much mech was involved in old school Nightblade, timing your potions, timing ultimate. I mean, you just spam the potion, but you try to work around the timing of it exactly. It seemed like a playstyle Elon Musk would lie about being good at. Yeah. Yeah, there was a certain cachet to being good at the Nightblade, and I was really good at the Nightblade. It was like my main thing. I was... If you need proof of that, there is a video somewhere deep in YouTube of our first, Ninjapul's first ever Dawnbringer trifecta, where I was the only Nightblade in the group. And it was not a Nightblade meta, by any means. But, you know, it's a fairly single-targety trial. So, I was absolutely kicking ass. It was a lot of fun. It was a ton of fun. But there was one Necro running Azure Blight. You know, back when one person could run it only? And holy shit. My single target damage was better, but their total damage was absolutely hilarious. That was a really good player. I think he's now moved up into the score push scene. Really nice guy. That's what happens to a lot of... That's how I know Ninja Pulls is doing something well. There are so many people in the score push scene whose names I know because they used to be in our guild. I'm not saying we got them there. Of course not. They got themselves there. But it's a fun one. It's fun to see that happening. And this idea that it is a gate-kept community, absolute bollocks. It's complete rubbish. No one who knows anything about the score-pushing scene in this game would think that.
The Stark Fellowship is here to help.
They're very welcoming. They just have very high standards. For obvious reasons. Alright, let's head on over to the writhing wall and see what's up. Trash set in all senses, I mean, yeah, I'm not convinced. In case that wasn't clear, I'm still not convinced that Caspian's is going to be amazing. I think the devs want it to have its niche. But at least it is now looking worthy of consideration. Like, on week 1 of Update 46 PTS, when we went into Arcene Cage, I put it on just for the funds, and it was absolute ass. Like, the amount of damage it did, the average DPS in fights was something like 237. I think I remember. That's not 237k, that's 237 damage per second from a 5-piece set. It was absolutely terrible. And Skinny Cheeks and a bunch of other people tested it as well on dummies, and yeah, it was just not even worth considering. So funny. And Arpames, sorry, as a Stam, Sork, Dark Magic line is totally useless. And the max Stam buff going there doesn't change that. That's true, but what I mean is, if that is a signal of... Because I know they've heard that feedback from me and a couple of other people. And they must have thought about it. You know, if we've thought of something, the devs will have thought about it as well. But they can sometimes be influenced by what the players are saying, if they make good arguments and, you know, provide evidence and reasoning for it. If you just say, this sucks, I don't like it, then that's harder for them to listen to. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. How does that help you at all? You're not going to use crystal fragments as a spammable just because one of the passives got a bit of a buff. But if it's a sign of things to come, then it's welcome. If it's a one-off, then you're right. I'm with you all the way. Absolutely. Subtlety, you should Scott Pilgrim when the servers go down. Wizard of Book. I know Sork, but I wish there was a wizard class. I suppose that is Arcanist. Or Templar. Nightblade is pretty wizardy when you think about it. In fact, in all previous games, Nightblade is a magic user. So it makes sense that the toolkit is so loaded with magical abilities. You would love a 6th skill lot. That's called an ultimate, Moose. Man, the casuals would freak out. Wouldn't they? There'd be so many people who would go absolutely livid if we had a 6th skill slot. I think I'd be fine with that, but I don't think it needs it. I think I would rather see more reactivity in the combat system, by which I mean moment-to-moment decision-making, which is optional. You know, if you are a very chill player, you don't need to do this in order to be competitive. But if you have taken the time to really learn your rotation, and you really enjoy min-maxing, not just in your prep, but in the moment-to-moment of the fight, giving us things like the Arcanist banner, which would, you know, pop every 5 seconds, making it a little bit longer cooldown, or making it less predictable. I don't know. Like, you have a 45% chance, or whatever. I'm not saying this would definitely be fun, but the idea of it is cool, this sort of reactivity in the combat system where you can see things happen and react to them in the moment. I think that'd be a ton of fun. Right. What dailies do we have here? Gleaming Resin doesn't work, so ignore that one. Defend a siege camp. Let's do that. In fact, we've only got 15 minutes, haven't we? Boo. Well, let's go and do one quickly. We can do that in 15 minutes, easy. And then I guess I'll fire up some Oblivion Remastered. Why am I so slow? Why can't I find the... There we go. So I have to literally just change it. I'm now changing it back. But that's fine. Yeah, fuck it, let's go with that. That'll do. And we want this. Arpames, it doesn't ruin my day, but annoys me by some amount. I know that feeling. And you always have to clarify, don't you? Because if you complain about something, but it's not something which is like making you furious, but it's something which is irritating, you always have to clarify that, because then people will be like, oh, chill out, it's not that big a deal. It's like, well, I didn't say it was. I just said, I think this is unnecessarily irritating. Yeah. Well, this one's not up. Shit, it's the one in the north, isn't it? No, Mr. Salamander, don't aggro. Juicy TV, and when you have a 6th slot, you want 7. And after 7, you want even more. Ooh, give me those 9 buttons. Yeah. Alright, so I don't know what we're going to do in 10 minutes, but how would you guys feel about some Oblivion Remaster? We can continue talking about ESO. Like, how much of today has really been about what's happening on screen? It's been primarily about the conversation, hasn't it? So I could just go a little bit longer. Hey, here we go. Here's some worm cultists. Maya would replace the L with something else. And just a word of warning. Oh shit, I'm still running Caspian. So we get to see it in action. It's going to be rubbish here, I'm pretty sure. Because the proc won't have time to do anything, will it? I'm also very squishy. I should quickly change the food. Hey, we got another player. They died. Is that the companion? Who is that? Is that just an NPC? No, it must be. Alright. So let's have a quick look. Combat metrics. Yeah, see, it's yeah. What? Literally nothing. It did nothing. I still got some stacks, but no, it's terrible in this context. So let's put Unsoul back on. Not because I need to be particularly min-max for this content, but since I have the set already. Yeah, so for brief encounters like that, Caspians, no. No, 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 no. The Kaguti charge. Right, that's 2. Oh, I thought that was the last one. So this is, in case anyone hasn't seen it before, this is what the part of what the early phases of the Writhing Wall event are going to look like. Well, this person at least has some damage. I was doing it the other day with like a rando, and they had absolutely no damage or survivability. But that's way too easy, just with one other person. So Lazy the Ghost. And yeah, that is a siege camp being defended. That's one of the key things. And that means we can now turn that quest in. So there are going to be a lot of activities. That's one of the only ones that you will have to own Seasons of the Worm Cult, you know, content pass, to be able to do. Most of them, I think everyone around the server, whether they own the content pass or not, will be able to do them. You just won't be able to come here and pick up the dailies. You'll have to pick them up in a base game zone or something like that. Rather Dashing, hello there! Welcome on in. We are just beset by the trouble of choosing a game to play when this goes down in the next 8 minutes or so. We're on PTS currently. How are you, sir? Massive shout out to Rather Dashing, in case you didn't catch his stream yesterday. It was a particularly fine one, and they always are. Lovely guy, very self-deprecating, but is far better at the game than he gives himself credit for, in my opinion. And yeah, just very thoughtful. I don't know, you remind me of me sometimes. You know, you have a tendency to sort of run with a topic and take it in unexpected directions. When I do it, chat calls it waffle. But when you do it, it seems sage and thoughtful. But yeah, lovely guy. If you're not following Rather Dashing, you won't regret it, I promise.
Excellent work. We must defend
So hit it.
the camps.
Cumtist? Oh my god. Moose, what the hell? Jesus. Oh, I thought you wrote something else at first. I thought it was an N. My family calls it rambling. Yeah, yeah. Oh dear. Thank you for the shout out and I appreciate the kind words. We like to fun. We do indeed. Yes, Womanizer, hello again. I've been brought here by the maintenance. Hello. Welcome on in. So, yeah, speaking of maintenance, we haven't got long left. But, who wants to have... Is there anyone who hasn't seen this before? I have streamed this a whole bunch the last couple of weeks. But I'm just curious as to what... It's possible we'll see Phase 2? I'm not sure whether we're still in Phase 1. But I'm pretty sure we are. We're just in the late stages of Phase 1 of the Writhing Wall event. So, if you go to there on live at the moment, none of this is here. There's a little table with like a blueprint on it. None of these crafting stations are here. There are hardly any NPCs walking around. There are a couple of tents, but this whole shebang and the camp down there are not constructed yet. For some reason, these towers are. I think that was a mistake. They fucked it up, and these towers came in full size. So what's going to happen when we enter Phase 1 of the Writhing Wall? Those towers are going to come down and have to be rebuilt. But everything else is sort of, you've got this sense of things moving, coming to a head. You know, it's all building to something, which I love. That's a lot of fun. And you can see the Beacon of Meridia just smashing into that wall. Again, apologies if you've been with me the last week. You'll have heard this a couple of times already, but I love the visual effect and the sound design when you get close enough to the wall. And as Eggbirds pointed out for us, the music also changes to something very, very eerie and unsettling. But check this. You said Maya replaces the L. I know, Moose. You got it, you got it. With a different consonant, though, in her case. But yeah, I love that. It's like ice cracking. It's definitely not a good sound. It's sort of ominous. And yeah, they've made an effort. I'm still convinced it's going to be amazing, but I hope it will be. My concern is that the individual camp defenses are very, very easy. I mean, you saw how easy it was with just one other player. And I think I was dealing a little more damage than they were, but they had decent damage. And we absolutely crushed that mini-boss. And that's supposed to be like a meaningful thing. So I'd like for that to compare a little bit more to a Harrow Storm or to a Dragon in Elsewhere, you know? Those things are really tough to solo. They take a bit of time. These do take a while to solo, but they're not really comparable. So I'm hoping that's either a Phase 1 thing and or that it will scale up. If we have 8 people here, the game will recognize that and give us something tougher to deal with. Because that was part of Dolmen, the Dolmen experience from from base game, early days. So I really hope that's the case. Alright, so anyone who's here, is there anything you'd like me to look at before this all goes down and hopefully comes up again looking a little bit further along in a few hours? Like I expect towers, I'm hoping towers like this will be up, or maybe they'll just unlock the ability to build them. And to be clear, we don't literally go around building these things. It's just as every time you turn in a daily or defend a camp or do any of these things, you progress the event meter, right? But yeah, I don't know what that's going to look like later on today. But I'm going to have to log out of ESO and let's fire up some Oblivion instead. Gonna have to change the game category, but please don't go anywhere. We're still gonna be talking Elder Scrolls. Well, we're gonna be talking ESO, let's be honest. And a little bit of Oblivion, maybe. There we go, category changed. And let's fire up the other game now. But yeah, I'm also hoping that when PTS patch notes go up later today, we will see a lot of those things that they promised us. The reversals that they made, the U-turns that they pulled on some of their less popular decisions in week 1 of PTS. I'm hoping we will see those actually enacted.